What's going on, Lions fans? Welcome to the Pride of Detroit POD cast, your home for all of your favorite Detroit Lions news, updates, analysis, and so much more. I'm your host, Meko, and today we are here to recap the Lions' most recent win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, pushing the Lions to 5-2 on the season after a 24-9 victory on Monday Night Football. I think the thing that I'm most excited about is that this is the last time we have to talk about having a victory Tuesday. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Let me introduce my two amazing co-hosts. First and foremost, we have your senior editor over at prideofdetroit.com, Ryan Matthews at Ryan_POD. Ryan, how are you feeling on a victory Tuesday?
Uh, a little more rested because the game started at 7 o'clock, so that's a good thing. How are
That is
you
like the
feeling?
one I was gonna say. That's I will side with you on that one. That was the one nice thing about having a Monday night football game is that I didn't have to stay up until like a unreasonable hour because I wasn't really going to stay up and watch the Seattle Seahawks beat the Houston Texans anyways. So
I
yeah,
I watched 0% of that game. An
absolutely, yeah.
NFL game kicking off at 10 o'clock. Good night, Irene.
hmm Jeremy, how about you? You're looking well rested.
No, nope. I didn't leave Ford Field until that game was over. But you know what? I'm certainly feeling good because the other outcome of this game would have been tough to deal with, tough to sit on for 13 days or whatever it would have been. To go into the bye week with two straight losses against contenders and have to deal with are the Lions for real? Can they beat a good team and all those narratives? Instead, the vibes are the exact opposite. We're back on track. This is a championship level team, and we get to sit on that for 13 days instead. So I will be good. I will be well rested in a day or two here, but I'm riding the high still.
If that's the case, if you didn't actually get as much sleep as it looks like you got, I need your recipe and like I need your secret to like how you look so well rested because you look better than I feel, and
Thank
I'm just
you.
putting on a brave face for you guys in the audience. Also, if you guys want to follow Jeremy, if you guys don't know already, at Detroit Online over there on Twitter. But guys, there is a lot of great things to talk about, Jeremy. To that point, like the Lions do get to move to 5-2 on the season. They get probably their most impactful win at this point in the season because obviously that goalpost is consistently moving at the time. Early parts in the season, it was the Ravens win, and now the Ravens don't look as hot as we thought they would be. This is probably to date the biggest win the Lions have been able to pick up. And I think it came in fairly dominant fashion. I know we're going to probably nitpick a couple things with the offense, but Jeremy, there were a lot of things like from kickoff to the end of this game where it never really felt like the Lions were out of it or that it was like in danger of slipping out of their grip.
Yeah, I mean, the only sense that maybe the game would ever leave the Lions' hands there is if you thought the defense was just performing magic through the first half of the game, and you're like, well, eventually the secondary is going to get exposed. There's no way, Eric Hallett and all these guys can perform at this level for 4 quarters. Like once that wears off, that whatever it is, that spell that they cast on Baker Mayfield and that Bucs offense, if that wears off, then maybe they can get back in this game because, like you said, there were some offensive struggles. But no, that was not the case. This wasn't some sort of potion that the Lions put the Bucs under. That was a real strong, impressive performance, and the most shocking, I would say, performance of the Lions 2025 season. I think we all looked as this game was developing throughout the week and saying, well, this doesn't look good. Doesn't look like Brian Branch is going to win his appeal. Doesn't look like Kirby Joseph is going to make the field. Suddenly it looks like, okay, maybe Meko Ibuka is going to play, and it certainly looks like Mike Evans is going to play. This is all going in a terrible direction, and I think a lot of Lions fans, I mean, I would probably even throw myself including here, said like, well, if the Lions are going to win this game, they're certainly not going to win it with their pass defense. Yet that is exactly how they won this game, and that to me was shocking, exciting, thrilling, and really, really damn impressive.
I was gonna say, Ryan, like if anyone listened to Before the Roar this week, like we always do like the injury report stuff and break that stuff down. I don't think we were more wrong than ever than on that week's episode where we were talking about the injury report. Like, oh, Emeka Ibuka hasn't practiced for 2 days, probably isn't going to play. Mike Evans went from limited to not practicing, not going to play. Levante David, not going to play. All of those guys played, at least played in the game at one point or another. But the Lions still found a way of being able to contain Baker Mayfield and overcoming their own injury issues to still have a very dominant performance defensively.
Yeah, I think that was a big takeaway, at least pregame, was how adamant the Bucs were to get their star players out on the field, right? Like Egbuka dealing with a hamstring issue, get him on the field, get Mike Evans back on the field, get Levante David, like bring your guns out because this is an important game and this game is going to matter come January when it comes seeding time in the NFC. So I think that maybe speaks to how important this game was for Tampa Bay. This game was obviously very important for the Detroit Lions. I know Jeremy mentioned it off the top, right? Like there wouldn't have been anything worse than going through the bye week on a 2-game skid against two teams that you figure to be contenders in the NFL and having to kind of quell a lot of the belly aching from Lions fans. But Jeremy, you did all that this morning on 97.1, right?
God.
You made a mistake. I made a mistake.
I made a mistake thinking that Lions fans might be happy about being 5-2 and coming off of an outstanding, unpredictable, unbelievable defensive performance. And to be clear, most Lions fans are. I don't want to paint the Lions fandom with one broad radio call-in brush here.
Yeah, and I think maybe that kind of speaks, Meko. I think that maybe might speak to just in the NFL when you had these expectations. I think a lot of people looked at this game and they said shootout, right? And the total would indicate that. The depleted Lions defense would indicate that. The way that the Lions offense had been playing, that indicated that. Tampa Bay's offense and Baker Mayfield and MVP stuff. Everything led up to, man, there's going to be a lot of points in Ford Field. You saw that first drive for the Lions and it's like, yep, we're off to the races. And then your expectations weren't met. And I think maybe that's why a lot of people ended up upset. I know in the immediate, it felt like, oh man, the Lions offense, like for everything that they're trying to do, not turning turnovers into points, leaving just yards. I mean, leaving possessions on the table, right? Like the way that they would, turn those turnovers into literally nothing, was frustrating. And I understand that, but on the other side of that Ford Field was a pretty damn good football team and a defense that has notoriously given Jared Goff and this offense fits for years. So I don't know, 5-2, a bye week to lick your wounds. I'm pretty pleased with where this football team is heading into the bye week.
I think that's one thing that as a fan base that is getting accustomed to winning, like it's something that we're still trying to navigate, which is like how do you rationalize solid wins even when the performance doesn't look as pretty as you want it to, right? Like I think looking at the offense through these first 7 weeks, like we've had moments where they've looked really good, and I think the last couple weeks we've definitely seen them struggle quite a bit. But at the end of the day, I think there's a lot of context that you can get when looking at, especially the last 2 weeks. You look at the Kansas City Chiefs game, Jeremy, you're going up against a really tough defensive minded, coordinator and you have to deal with Chris Jones, and they create a lot of havoc for the middle of your or for your offensive line. You come into this week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it's kind of the same formula. Like they have Vita Vea, they have Logan Hall, they have they have Yaya Diaby, all of these guys at the front four that really stress this offensive line. And I think that's part of the reason why you're seeing this offense struggle these last couple weeks. It's not because it's not a good offense. It's just, I think you're still seeing just how young and how adjusted this offensive line still is like the adjustments that they're still working through in the early parts of the season.
Yeah, I mean, going up against Steve Spagnuolo and then Todd Bowles, like that's a murderer's row of defensive minded coaches. That's a tough hand to be dealt. And listen, there's room to criticize the Lions offense. There's room to criticize Jared Goff for how he played. There's room to criticize the offensive line. Believe it or not, there is room to criticize the running backs because as good as Jahmyr Gibbs was on this day, he was terrible in pass protection, and so was David Montgomery. There were at least two, I think three between those guys, really bad reps that caused immediate pressure. And so, yes, there's some things the Lions need to clean up, and I'm with you. I think a lot of the issues are on that offensive line that is still gelling together, that is still have two really young players that haven't started 10 games in their career yet and still working through what they're learning. But they're still, the third highest scoring offense. They're still have playmakers up the wazoo. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about JMO because I sense people freaking out about JMO again, which I think deserves a fair discussion, but is generally probably most people overreacting a little bit. But man, I just want to talk about the defense, man, because I'm brimming ear to ear about it, because I think there's starting to be a legitimate conversation that they might be the stronger unit on this team right now. And that's crazy to think, given how good the offense has been for 2.5 years, for 3 years at this point, really. But it's becoming a reality. They have the number one defense in football in DVOA right now. Their offense is like 5th or 6th or something. It's really good when all the pieces are coming together, and all the pieces haven't even come together yet, man. Like, I was so impressed with how they played on Monday night, and I almost want to compare it to the Packers game last year when they had all their missing pieces, all the linebackers, and you had these guys coming in off the street and starting. In a lot of ways, it was like that, but I think it was even better, because you're talking about an MVP candidate, Baker Mayfield, coming in there and making him look like Josh Browning. Josh Browning? Whatever Browning. Jake Browning.
Yes, him.
Make you look like a quarterback that I don't even know the first name of. That's how bad Baker Mayfield looked on Monday night.
Make you look like a quarterback that they might look within the division and find a 40-year-old to replace you with.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, the defense was nothing short of extraordinary, and I'm glad you bring up that game, Jeremy, because that was the last game that felt like there was defensive magic in Detroit. Maybe until you got to week 18, but then you got Anzalone back, and Meek Robertson plays out of his mind in that game. But it was really reminiscent of that, but I think that it was far more impressive because the secondary, like, you look at all the guys that they were down. It's like both your starting outside cornerbacks, the guy who you brought in, Avonte Maddox, to, I don't know, play nickel, maybe play safety, do something. He's not there. You're moving
your perfect Brian Branch replacement. Your perfect Brian Branch replacement is gone.
Yeah,
and 1 week you need him.
It really was. I mean, I love the nickname Legion of Whom. It's incredible. It should live in infamy for the rest of forever this season. But Meko, I think the thing that's most exciting is that whereas with that Packers game, you didn't really get the sense outside of Anzalone that like anybody was coming back, right? Like Derek Barnes wasn't coming back, Marcus Davenport wasn't coming back, Aiden Hutchinson wasn't coming back. A week or two later, they lose Aleem McNeil and Carlton Davis. The Lions stand to get so much better on defense by adding guys, and now you have these guys who are getting live bullets. They're getting real reps against a damn good offense in Baker Mayfield and these guys, and you're building confidence. Like, by the end of that game, if you could have bottled up Nick Whiteside's confidence and sold it, you would not be on this podcast right now because you'd be rich. You'd be rich, rich, rich. What an incredible performance by that guy. Like, Saginaw Valley State, stand up. You got him, you got Nowoski out there. Like, Meko, it was something that'll be the memorable takeaway from this game. Like, when I think back to this Buccaneers game, this I guess third installment in this Lions Bucs rivalry that I think is brewing, this will be the Legion of Whom game.
It's also going to be the game that, like, if you're keeping score on, like, hey, which is more impactful to a defense, the pass rush or the secondary, like, this one kind of you put a small tally in the pass rush category because you look at what that defensive line was doing with Aiden Hutchinson, with Al-Qadim Muhammad, the return of Aleem McNeil. Tyleek Williams, I think, is still continuing to really flash as a pass rusher in terms of just being able to push the pocket from the middle. Those things, like, to your point, Ryan, about them still being able to get pieces down the line, like, the secondary is going to get so much healthier, but yet like you have some key pieces on this defensive line that you didn't have last year when you had that Green Bay game. Like to your point, Derek Barnes and Aiden Hutchinson weren't coming back. You have both of those guys right now, on top of the fact that you're getting, I think, even more elevated play from Jack Campbell these last few weeks. Like we talked about it a couple weeks ago. If he continues to elevate, continues to add another just piece that you can throw into the pass rush game, this entire defense flourishes. And to just add another just a caveat to the whole like Legion of Whom thing, you had Rock Ya-Sin starting at corner who was playing fantastic through that game. All of a sudden goes down with cramps. And like, I don't know about you guys, but Jeremy, like I gasped for a second where I'm like, oh, this is where it happens. Like if there's a
Right.
moment where I thought it might go off the
Right.
rails, it was, oh, Rock Ya-Sin is going out and Meko is about to just go off from this point on.
That was the dam breaking, right? That was the thing. Is like, okay, the Lions they did all they could through 3 quarters, but losing Rock. I mean, how can you expect Nick Whiteside to come in here and have 0 snaps to his name and come in and shut down Emeka Egbuka? But like, yeah, he did three
He
pass
did.
breakups, all on Egbuka, like a guy that probably still is very much in the offensive rookie of the year front runner.
Yeah.
I mean, it's insane what happened that night, and I think the next question kind of becomes is like, okay, are the Lions more deep than we expected them to be? Is someone like Nick Whiteside a guy that could stick around? He was a guy who they got a short look at during training camp. He didn't make the team. He didn't make the initial practice squad. They bring him back when some of these injury things start to happen. I think you look at Thomas Harper. That was a savvy addition when it happened. It was under the radar, right? It happened in this moment in which we thought all of the Lions cuts, all these guys are going to get claimed by everyone else. None of the Lions cuts got claimed by anybody else. Suddenly the Lions are making 2 claims. What's going on? I thought this was a championship roster. We're claiming dudes, but he was a guy who played some good football for the Raiders last year, and they went through a regime change, and the Lions were like, give me that. Oh, you don't want that? Give me that. And listen, I think we went into the season saying like safety depth does not look very good. Well, now you probably have a little bit more confidence in that. And yes, you had to go through Lauren Strickland to get there, and yes, there's still more questions about that position and Kirby Joseph's long-term health and all those things, but I think you can have a little bit more confidence that even if you don't get all these guys back right away, even if the Lions decide to sit Kirby for a month, or if, Terrion doesn't come back as quickly as we thought, and we'll see with DJ Reed. I don't know if he comes back the first game he's eligible after that Vikings game. You have a little bit more confidence that the Lions might just be okay. And if that's the case, then this team is even more dangerous than I think a lot of us thought they were.
Ryan, I'll say, even if it's not necessarily like the confidence in the players, I have I have an increased level of confidence in Kelvin Shepard's ability to game plan. Because I think as much credit as the players deserve, and even Kelvin Shepard said that in his post game speech to the team, it's a players league and it's always going to be about the players. You still need a guy that's going to embody and imbue that amount of trust in his players and put them in position to succeed. And through 7 weeks, like I don't know if there's a way to be more impressed with him to this point.
You saw the discourse on Twitter last night. People talking about like Kelvin Shepard, head coaching candidate, and
No touchy. Nope, no touchy.
is that an overreaction? I don't know, but you look at Baker's numbers. He had 54 dropbacks last night. He was sacked 4 times. He had 50 pass attempts. On 28 of those 54 dropbacks, he got pressured. They only blitzed him on 14 dropbacks, right? Like I think
Wow.
it was the defense's ability to disguise things. It was the defense's ability to get pressure with 4 guys. I mean, Ali McNeil is my biggest takeaway from this game. He was the thing that I wanted to find out at the end of this game when we were talking about it last week in our last segment. John Ledyard was talking about like, oh man, Baker looks skittish. He looks scared. He looks, he looks off. He looks rattled. I'm like, yeah, I'd be rattled too if my right guard was dropping back faster than I can.
Right.
Uh,
Like the very first drive of the
Very
game,
first
Aleem
play.
is just
Yeah.
plowing. And yeah, that's gonna set the tone for the rest of the game, especially when Baker's a small dude, right? When there's a
Yeah.
Aleem joked after the game, like, I'm as tall as that guy. But like, yeah, when that's coming at you, you can't really go over it. And
well,
so,
I mean, he gets a big pass breakup on the third down play at
Yeah.
the beginning of the second quarter.
yeah,
That takeaway, Meko, is like, man, I thought the Lions we're talking about how deep the secondary may be. Roy Lopez is a guy who should be snapping at 40 to 45% on another NFL team, and he's the fourth guy in that rotation. In theory, right? Like he's
Yeah.
great run defender. They probably would have had him in the game more last night, but the Bucs only ran the football 11
Right.
times. It was almost kind of like the frustrating inverse of that game. Was at the beginning of last season against Tampa Bay, where Goff has to throw the ball 55
yes.
times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Baker,
They reversed him.
forced him. Yes, they did. And holy crap, they were left with a ton of cards in their hand at the end of the game.
Right. And that's also the reason why Aleem McNeil played 44, 45 snaps in that game, because Dan said it today, like, we just kind of wanted him out there for pass rushing opportunities. We have the depth at nose tackle to stop the run. We just wanted Aleem out there for, 54 dropbacks.
Yeah.
He played 45
44
snaps. 37 of those were pass rushing snaps. So, and listen, was he as effective at the end of the game as he was in the first half of the game? No, of course he's not. He's still getting his sea legs. He's still not in football shape, as Dan Campbell said. But that's quite an impression he made in the first game. And now knowing that he's drawing double teams and Aiden's drawing double teams and chips. Yeah, it's not surprising to see that Al-Qadim Muhammad had 9 pressures in this game, because you're going to have to single cover somebody, and he's one of the guys that's going to eat. Imagine what happens when and if Marcus Davenport comes back. That defensive front is suddenly legit, and in a way that is almost humorous, because we're still talking about adding an edge rusher at the trade deadline. There's still reports out there that the Lions are calling, and maybe they are, maybe they aren't, but I think they're in a really good spot right now in that defensive front.
I would agree. I think that's the thing that, like, outside of looking forward to getting Kirby back and looking forward to getting BB and Terrion and DJ Reed back, like, we can't get lost in the fact that this defensive line is playing at such a high level, and the impact that an Aleem McNeil has. Like, I think it's one of those things where it went from like hopeful thinking to last night seeing it like live in person. It's like, oh no, like Aleem really is, like, I didn't make that up. Aleem really is as good as I remember him being. And I think, Jeremy, like, if that continues to happen, I don't know if there's a team like going forward that I am like all that worried about offense, like in terms of like who this defense can match up with, whether it's personnel wise or scheme wise.
Yeah, because honestly, the only struggles this defense was having through 6 weeks was their secondary, was their coverage, which is again why this game was so wild to experience, because no one saw it coming. You could say you saw the Lions winning this game. They were obviously 5.5 point favorites, so them winning the game itself is not all that surprising, but the way they did it, and I do kind of wonder if there are some conversations to be had when everyone is healthy in the secondary. Do you want Amik Robertson, who continues to make play after play after play? They continue to trust him by putting men out there on an island. Do you throw him back at nickel when you're fully healthy, where he's only going to play 20 snaps, 30 snaps because you love to live in base?
No, that guy needs to play outside cornerback at this point. That guy needs to be on the field.
So what are you suggesting? I mean, we need to say it out loud.
It's not so much benching as just getting Wally pipped. It's okay. Like,
Yeah.
If a guy's outplaying you, and guess what? If the opportunity arrives for Terrion Arnold, then the opportunity arrives.
Yeah.
I think it even if it's not necessarily like benching Terrion, I think it is at least like maximizing the chess piece that you have in Amik Robertson. Like if we talk about this, we typically talk about this when it came down to BB, right? Like, oh, BB's this chess piece that you can kind of move around in the secondary. You find the best matchup for him, and that's where you play him. Why can't you do the same thing with Amik, where if you're going up against a team, let's say like the Minnesota Vikings, who they have coming out of the bye, you know Amik plays Jettas probably just as well, if not better than anybody else in the league.
Yeah.
Don't stick him at nickel. Put him like, let that be the matchup that you're like, hey, we're going to bank on that. And you figure out the rest of it, right? Whether it is having TA play more in the slot, or maybe him being on the sidelines and letting somebody else play in the slot. Like that's where I go back to again saying, like, I have a great deal of trust in Kelvin Shepard that whatever the right decision is, he's going to make that decision. He's not going to, if they get Terrion Arnold back sooner than we expect, it's not going to be one of those situations like, no, we're going to have you out there against Justin Jefferson because, you know, you're CB1 or CB2. Like, no, we're going to be like, hey, like the matchup that seems to work best for us is us putting Amik out there for whatever the reason, you know, that is, whether it's Amik's been playing well, super well the last few weeks, or hey, we just think that he plays Jettas better.
It's a better matchup, yeah. I mean, it's also worth pointing out they already kind of took a half step in this direction, right? It's not, it was what, 2 weeks ago in which they were like, hey, we're just going to have Amik play a little bit more on the outside and dig into Terrion's snaps. That already happened. Mm-hmm. And that's, I mean, the toothpaste is kind of already out of the tube a little bit. And with the, as well as Amik is playing, obviously, you know, didn't have his best game against the Chiefs, but with the way he's bouncing back, yeah, no one did, right? Which again, why I didn't see this game coming the way it did. But you can also see the leadership that he brings to that secondary, particularly when everyone else is out. But you know, he's talking about pulling players aside during the week and saying, "Hey, this is your moment. Like, cherish it. Don't make it too big." All that sort of stuff. And he's coming out in the Brian Branch jerseys, and he's doing, you know, press conferences at the end of game, which I think tells you what the Lions think of him. That is a valuable dude, and I've already heard a lot of people start talking about, like, when do we consider extending him? When do we consider giving him a big extension? And that's a conversation for down the line, and it's one I'm willing to talk about later. I don't really want to think about it too much now, because again, like, what would that mean for Terrion? Would you be giving up on his rookie deal? Do you have enough room to do all that sort of stuff? Those are big, tough questions to answer right now, and I don't think the Lions are in a hurry to do it, but Amik's earning himself some money right now.
There is one other player on the defensive side that I wanted to bring up, like, just really briefly, and it goes back to the defensive line because, again, we talked about Elaine, we talked about Hutch. I think we talk about Hutch all the time, and we obviously talked about Al-Qadim Muhammad. Tyrus Wheat, another guy, Jeremy, that you talk about, like the Lions just kind of picking up off of like someone else's like practice squad. 1.5 sacks, and like, yes, one of them was definitely tripping.
yes, it was.
Yeah. Well, I to see people twist themselves into knots on Twitter because they're having such a good time, I'm not going to beat you up about it. But if you're trying to say no, like, it looked like he was trying to stabilize his leg. Stabilize his leg by fully extending it in front of Baker Mayfield's legs. It was a trip, but
we'll see what happens when the fines come out on Saturday. We know that one's coming.
But I think that's another guy that over the last few weeks has been getting more and more opportunities and is at least making the most out of them. And I think you talk about, if we're going to talk about the depth of this defensive line, that's another name that you kind of just got to have in the back of your mind where it's like, hey, maybe there isn't as big of a need or as big of a rush to have Marcus Davenport come back if he's not 100% right, because you have Al-Qadim Muhammad, you can have a Tyrus Wheat, you obviously still have Aiden Hutchinson, and you have enough in the middle of that defensive line to where it's like, we can make it a few more weeks if that's what it's going to take for you to get 100% healthy.
It's a weird embarrassment of riches right now on defense, and who thought we'd be here without Marcus Davenport, without Levi Onwuzurike, without the edge they needed to trade for, right? It's really, really, really impressive how Brad Holmes and the coaching staff make us look like a fool time and time again. It's really exciting because you just wonder, like, who else is on the roster right now that we don't know anything about, but they're like really excited for. Because I bet there's some guys on offense, right? There's probably an offensive lineman maybe that's showing up that we don't know about. Maybe there's a skill position player. developing. Like maybe at some point we see Dominic Lovett, right? Maybe they really like what he's doing with the scout team. It's, I don't know. It just further deepens my trust in this whole organization that they can get some of these guys to produce and just fall in line and just be, not just say the next man up line that every team says whenever there's injuries, but go out there and live it and do it. And it seems so unfair that like we've spent 30 minutes on the defense and haven't even mentioned the linebackers who were also outstanding in this game. I thought Derek Barnes played one of his best games as a Lion, and Anzalone and Jack Campbell just continued to play at a really high level. But I mean, I think the defensive line and the secondary deserved every minute that we talked about them too.
Yeah. The only other thing I want to say about the linebackers, Meko, and is just an interesting observation that dawned on me, but for the first time in over a year, you had Derek Barnes, Aleem McNeil, and Aiden Hutchinson on your defense and your front, and those are all guys, I mean, Hutchinson pending, but those are guys that they see as foundational pieces, right? They signed Derek Barnes to the extension. They give Aleem McNeil that extension last season. You assume Hutchinson's up next. Go figure that once you get like 3 of your pillars back, well, maybe even some of the other guys like your Wheats and your back end and some of these guys, Meko, they look as good as they do.
Yeah. I will say like one thing that like I was pleasantly surprised about was seeing Jack Campbell like out wide covering a running back like in space, and it's just like when he hit the seatbelt, I was like, Jack Campbell has arrived. We are now
my favorite part about that is like he amused himself with it. Like you could see a big smile on his face. Like, I did I do it right?
Yeah,
it is. It goes back to what you were saying, Jeremy. It's an embarrassment of riches on this defense, and I mean, one of the biggest takeaways for me from this game, and that really stuck with me, is that the other thing that you said, which is that like the mantra of next man up is something that like every team in every sport, like it's the thing that comes out of their mouths the minute they start to have to dig into their roster and find other guys to fill holes and to be productive. It does seem like it hits differently in Detroit. And I can't remember who said it during their press conference yesterday, but someone pointed to that. Like, it is different here. A lot of teams say it, but in Detroit, like, it means something differently. And I think it was Dan who kind of like expounded on it a little bit more, where he's like, yeah, we prepare these guys to start. Like, we're not just, going through practice just so that you can give the starters a look or anything like that. Like, it's important that you go out there and that you're prepared so that when your number is called, you can perform at a high level. And that's the exact same thing that you get out of Righteous Felon Craft Jerky, is that when you decide to call on them to get like a premier snack, when you're looking for premium protein to add into your just daily consumption, Righteous Felon is there. They are so reliable in that way. And the Pride of Detroit POD cast is brought to you by Righteous Felon Craft Jerky. It's the jerky that fuels the Pride of Detroit POD cast. Each 2-ounce bag of jerky has 16 to 20 grams of protein, and each stick has 8 grams. Trust me, if it's good enough for the Lions, it's going to be good enough for you too. Righteous Felon is based in Westchester, Pennsylvania. They use locally sourced all-natural black Angus beef and prides itself on superior quality, revolutionary branding, and unique flavors that go beyond the stereotypical jerky offering. I am officially out of like actual bags of jerky, so I myself am going to be using the promo code POD15 to re-up. I have plenty of meat sticks left, which again is a great just grab and go type of snack to make sure that you kind of just don't have to hit a vending machine or go into a gas station and pay like an absorbent amount of money for subpar jerky. So again, if you go over to righteousfelon.com, use the promo code POD15 at checkout to get 15% off your order. Again, that's promo code POD15 at righteousfelon.com. When we come back, we're going to talk about the offense. There are some good things to talk about when it comes to this offense, but there are some things that I think that are a little concerning, and I think it's worth discussing when we talk about whether or not we think this offense is going to be able to get back on the right track for the second half of the season. So we're going to talk about that and a whole lot more right after this.
We'll blur it out in post. Me showing meat on stream.
God.
This is the type of stuff that gets you flagged on like other websites,
That's right.
Showing meat on screen.
A lot of honestly, the ratings were all over the place for the segue this week.
Yeah.
We can't win them all.
You can't please everybody.
I was surprised.
I think at this point, I think I've set too high of a bar for people to just like accept anything other than that.
Once we hit like the 30-minute mark, like I feel like there's just like I can feel the anticipation in the room. I was surprised how long it took for someone to say 6 out of 7.
Especially
I feel like we're getting towards the end.
Ross St. Brown celebration.
I feel like we're getting towards the end here. When South Park is making jokes about it, when adults are making jokes, when Dave Phipp knows about it, I feel like the meme is near its end.
Oh, whoa, hold on. That is a marker for sure. I feel like that should mean that, okay, that's about to be over.
Yeah.
I didn't know that Dave Phipp knew about things other than fishing and special teams. I thought that was just like Dave Phipp.
My youngest said to me today, or she said to her mom, she's like, Dad's the coolest. She was like, because he actually laughs at 6'7".
Man. Yeah.
I'm over it.
Kids, man.
That's a great question, Knoxville Lions fan. I can't answer it.
Yeah, you should ask somebody who cares. Just kidding. I don't like coming this week. I'm not going to be on stream again this week. So
what? Aren't we doing watching some highlights?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to be on stream.
I saw a Slack message that was like, I'll just do it on Tuesday.
Dude, you're breaking the cardinal rule of Slack right now on stream.
I'm trying to make sure that you deliver for the people. Like I'm trying to make sure that we're not the type of podcast that lies to our audience and gets their hopes up on things that we actually won't deliver on. That's all I'm trying to do.
We have coined this week as accountability week on the Pride of Detroit YouTube and Twitch pages.
Just gonna order it right now.
While you do that, I'm gonna go read some alerts. We got a bunch of them, so let me scroll down. A quarter, thank you for the 15 months. So, no, 36 months. 15 in a row. 36 total months. That's 3 years. Says, big win last night. Good to see Aleem back. No doubt about it. One Pride 0427. 30 months says, what a bounce back. That said, prayers up to Reddick and Evans. Yeah, I didn't get an update on Evans. I'm sorry, on Reddick. But that didn't look very good either.
No, didn't look great. I mean, Evans looked like he was in really bad shape.
Yeah.
Like coming off the field, I was like, that seems serious.
Yes. So he broke his clavicle.
Clavicle, yeah. And concussion on top of that.
And concussion, yeah.
That was tough. And I almost feel even worse because he made that catch. If he has consciousness, he makes that catch.
Yeah. Well, yeah, if he has consciousness and a collarbone, yeah.
Yeah.
But he took it all the way to the ground and man.
He did, but his knees hit the turf so hard that I was like, maybe it's something with that too. Like I was just like, man, did he just like, he looked like as he was coming off the field, there was a point where he's like he starts really leaning on the guy who's supporting him off the field, and his eyes are closing. And I was like, what is that looks awful. It was really bad.
Yeah,
they really need Godwin to come back now.
Right.
So yeah, like
Reddick's
I didn't get to
going for an
look
MRI.
into it. I didn't get to look into it too deeply, but like, is it just like a re-injury of his leg, like the leg injury that Godwin had last year, or is it like a brand new injury?
No, I don't know.
That's a good question. He was so far off my radar. I was like, he's not playing. But then again, to your point, Meko, when you guys did the preview show, like on Thursday, I think we were all still pretty much under the assumption, like Wednesday or Thursday, where it was like, they're going to be without all their receivers.
Yeah.
Bro, I was so prepped where I was like, okay, like none of these guys, like maybe Mike Evans. I think Morgan had said that before we recorded, where he was like, he had heard that like Thursdays were like Mike Evans like go-to rest days. Like he always rests on those days. But yeah, like I don't know, like as a track guy, Ryan, like hamstring injuries are tricky. Like they can feel great for a while,
Yeah.
and then like the next thing you know, like you open it up a little too much, and next thing you know, like
Right. Ask
You're
Sione Vaki. Ask Zach Cunningham.
Zach Cunningham. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Ask. I don't. You didn't hear this because it was on the broadcast, Jeremy. But Troy Aikman was talking about his hamstring, and he's like, I pulled my hamstring like 2 years ago, like on the treadmill, and I haven't gotten back on a treadmill since.
Yeah.
listen, there's not a lot that me and Troy Aikman have in common, but that sentiment, like I haven't done that, but that sentiment is something that I like resonated with. Where it's like
Yeah.
if I were to pull my hamstring or any like body part doing something that's like nowhere near competitive enough, I'm never doing that thing again. Like I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah, my body just doesn't do that thing anymore.
Yeah. Don't play
So-
baseball without a glove anymore. That's for damn sure.
I'll learn our lessons the hard way sometimes at the Henry Ford Museum.
That's right. Oh, maybe
One of my
you know
buddies told me
that has to be
one of my buddies
the
told me
rewards.
he
I still have
tore
that
his
outfit.
he told me he tore his patella swinging a baseball bat once, and I was like, now I have a new fear unlocked. Because, like, like, I didn't even know you could do that. First of all, like, I didn't know that was a possibility. He was like, yeah. He was like, I was like, were you wearing cleats? He was like, no. And I was like, that could happen to anybody. Like, anybody could be out there playing in a softball league and just tear their patella
Oh my gosh.
swinging a baseball bat.
Yeah. Ugh.
I don't like that. Did they play Detroit Rock City leading into a commercial? They sure did. I believe it was after Amon-Ra's touchdown. It's a one thing that I hate about national broadcasts is like, you know what you're gonna see from the city, no matter what city they're in, right? If a home game in Seattle, you're gonna see some people throwing fish around. If it's a home game in Detroit, you're gonna see the fist. You're probably gonna see Hitsville, USA. You're probably gonna see. Oh, they're mentioning, Canada, just over there. There's Canada. Did you guys know that you can see Canada from Detroit?
The Ambassador Bridge.
Yeah, cars.
Cars. Car talk.
Hopefully,
Motown.
can I? Since I didn't watch the broadcast, can I get confirmation that the breaking down car animation thing is not still a thing at the Monday Night
Still
Football
dead.
broadcast?
It's still dead.
It's still
it
dead.
hasn't. Yeah.
Okay.
It hasn't. It
They
hasn't
had a
shown
new
up
one
in
that
some
seemed-
time.
Oh, Wizard
There's a
says
new one
there's
that seemed a little
Lions
cruel.
animation. Is that what you're talking about?
I don't know. They had one where like basically they were talking about like how Dan like hired John Morton, like how he basically replaced Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn with Johnny Morton and Kelvin Shepard, and it just kind of looked like throwing away toys that you don't want to play with anymore. And it's like, well, that's not exactly how it happened. Like,
Oh,
like it
I
showed
did
like
see. I
Dan
did see
taking
some
them off the shelf or like
yeah,
that. And I'm like,
a
that's
grocery
not
store with
quite how
big
it happened.
onions.
Yeah.
I did see that.
Yeah, it's more like someone else came in, like took your stuff off the shelf, and then you had to restock.
I didn't see that because I agreed to go on the Grand Rapids radio show during the game yesterday.
Oh,
How was that?
Which, well, so at first it was gonna happen. They messaged me at 8:00, and they're like, "Hey, we had to like move some stuff around, so like we're gonna call you in a second." And I was like, "Yeah, no, this is a bad idea. Like, you shouldn't call me until halftime." And they're like, "Okay, maybe we can do 8:30." And I was like, "Yeah, that should work." And then like Mike Evans gets hurt, and like the game like just grinds to a halt. There's turnovers, there's reviews, there's everything, and I'm just like,
The end of that first half was wild.
it was all over the place. But then they managed to call me like right as the half ended. And they're like, "This is perfect timing. You ready to go on?" And I was like, "Yeah, I guess. I'm just gonna complain about the refs though." So
What are you complaining about the refs at halftime for?
where do I start?
OPI? Was that was that in the first half?
the OPI was stupid.
The OPI and then the not penalty on Jamel Dean for defensive holding that they picked up the flag on.
Oh, was that the same play?
It was the
picked up
same
the
in
flag?
play.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that there was
Yeah,
Why
there were
did
flags
they
on,
pick that up?
on
They
there
never
were
really
flags on
explained why they picked it
opposites.
up.
Yeah. Nope. They didn't explain it. They didn't need to. They just said no,
like,
no foul.
and it's like clearly like hand in the shoulder pad.
Yeah, like grabbing and like moving. And I was like, okay. And I was like, well, let's see the other side of the field. What did Jameson Williams do? Nothing. Okay, great.
I was waiting for extension, and I was like, because I mean, like, I was willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, J-Mo's fast. Maybe it just happened so quickly that they didn't really understand what happened. And then when they showed the replay, I'm like, okay, no, I did see that correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you. I'm glad Mr. Papa agrees with me that like that was not a face mask that everyone got all mad about, right?
No, it was not. It was not a face mask.
And then the block in the back was a legit block in the back also. Now,
Yeah.
people that are complaining that didn't get called last week against Juju, fair. That should have been a block in the back too, 100%. But
Yeah. Can we talk
I
about the
think there were
rest?
2 blocks in the back on that play though. The one that they called, because I think like Tesla also blocks.
Oh,
somebody
really?
Clearly,
Oh,
in
boy.
the back.
The thing that I loved was I could sense that the ref was really going to enjoy letting the crowd know that the ball was short of the line to gain. Like he looked like he was like, I know you guys were just saying that I suck and like chanting it in unison.
really
But
loud.
boy,
Actually,
boy,
really
do I
loud.
boy, do I have some news for you guys.
That was
Upon further review.
wild. That was such a thing that you'd expect to happen to the Lions, not for the Lions, because it's unprecedented. I've never
Because
seen them
just
go
happened
under a
last week.
review. But no, I've never seen them do a review, announce the results, and then go back and do a second review. That is
Yeah, I didn't know they could
that
do
is
that.
picking up the flag after you've already announced it level zany.
Yeah, and like here's the thing, after watching Tigers playoff baseball and seeing that a coach or the manager has the opportunity to like challenge 2 different plays that happen like within the same, ball in play, because they like challenged a double play once. Like whether or not the guy tagged the guy at second, whether or not the guy was out at first. It's like,
Yeah.
well, you know what? Just challenge everything. Just look at the whole play and look at everything. And if you find anything wrong with it, make sure the home team benefits.
Well, I knew that was the rule. I knew that as soon as you're under the hood, everything is subject to review. Everything that's reviewable is subject to review. What I
Okay,
didn't
yeah.
know is that you still technically win the challenge if the thing that you challenged is wrong, but they change something else. That is hilarious to me, and should not be the case, right?
No, it should not be the case. Like I saw the Zebra account on Twitter explaining it, and I was like, I believe you, but like that's dumb, and they
It's
should
very dumb.
they should change that.
There's
But
no reason the Lion should have won that challenge.
No, but I don't know. I like that though, because
Oh yeah,
in the I mean, yes, obviously because it benefited my team, but like in the
Yeah.
context of what that means, it's like, well, yeah, if we hadn't have called this wrong, you would have never challenged this.
Yeah.
So yeah, technically, like we gotta give you back your challenge because we screwed up.
but was that more insane than Dan Campbell's other challenge?
No.
No, the other challenge made no sense.
Which is why I had to ask
Glad
that.
you
I had to ask. And good on him for being like, no, I was just being an idiot. Like if you were the kind of person that were like, what the hell is Dan challenging? You were right. I'm like,
Yeah.
You got me pegged because that's what I wrote in my column about coaching. Like, I don't understand what you were doing there.
Dude, but that's why I love hashtag ChallengeGate, Meko, because on Twitter everybody was like, well, actually Dan was getting a longer timeout for his defense because they needed a breather. So like
I
he
put
just
that in the
challenged
article
something.
explaining,
Yeah.
like, I mean, maybe. Because, like, for as dead honest as Dan is, we were talking about this a little bit in the press room after the conference today. For as honest as Dan is, I don't even think he would admit that. Because if you admit that, you're kind of opening a can of worms here where it's just like, oh, if you need an extra breather that isn't just like a 30-second timeout, just challenge a play.
Just challenge something.
Challenge something
Just
stupid.
challenge anything. And the league certainly doesn't want that, right?
I was
No.
gonna say if this was probably anybody, if it was anyone other than Dan, I would be side eyeing it. But when Dan comes out and is like, no, that was just stupid. Like I don't know what I was doing. I believe him so much. Where it's like that man literally just probably got caught up in the moment where he was like, no, I misunderstood what happened there. I'm challenging that.
I rewatched it after the press conference, and he looks confused in the moment. He like the ref is trying to like, what are you trying to challenge? He's like, yeah, that, yeah, whatever you just said, yeah, I'll challenge that. We'll challenge that. Mm-hmm.
Hey, we'll challenge that because I don't know. Maybe we'll just find something else about the play too.
Worked the first time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there was somebody who used the GIF where they threw it out there, where like that challenge by Dan Campbell was like, "I'm leaving with something." Like I'm leaving.
Right.
I'm leaving with something.
Oh, the Denzel.
Yeah. Yeah.
The craziest part about that is what the referee said they were challenging, because
It was very clearly not.
They're challenging whether they gain the line.
It's 3rd and 5. He didn't get the line to gain.
You ruled that he was short of the line to gain. So they're challenging what you already ruled, and then Dan says they were challenging whether Baker was down or not, and he was not even close to down. Which
no,
I don't think that's what he. I think he was confused in the moment. I honestly think he was confused in the moment.
Yeah, I wonder too if it was something with. Because
Like
they talked about in the
fumble.
broadcast where like can the offense advance a forward fumble kind of thing, which they talked about on the previous play.
Right. Weird that comes out. Was that the same drive? No, I think it was a drive.
They're
But
different drives, but
very
like
close together.
enough so that I believe the timeout thing because I couldn't stand to watch Aiden Hutchinson close-ups anymore. I was like, how tired is that guy right now? Like, there's nobody who looks more tired on that football field than Aiden Hutchinson.
On their one touchdown, Aiden did not look at his best. Kind of chasing that play from behind.
Gassed.
Oh, yeah, he was Frankensteining it a bit. Like his it looked like he had no shot at all.
Yeah.
And that play was just so weird because they sniffed it out. Like they
Yeah.
knew that the screen was happening, and it was like, well, it's too bad that he's 5 yards behind me because I'm a lineman,
Right.
and he's a wide receiver.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever wanted him to get a sack so bad. Like the way, like the effort in which he was putting out, like he needs one. Just give him one.
Yeah.
That spin move on Wirfs though was nasty.
I didn't see it. I heard them reference it because I think it happened right before one of those challenges because I was, like I said, I was just rewatching the broadcast to see what happened during the challenges and to get the wording of what the referees said the challenge was about. I think they were referencing that spin move, so I didn't actually see it.
Yeah, I think if not for the guard like sliding over to like help in that situation, like Baker probably gets buried.
But the thing we didn't even mention with the defense in the first segment is that they didn't let Baker out of the pocket almost ever, and he didn't scramble a single time. He tried once, and then he tripped over his own feet. But
Yeah.
shout out Derek Barnes for the free sack.
I also love how was that Derek Barnes sack or was that
Oh no, that was
Campbell
Jack.
sack?
That was Jack Campbell's sack. You're right.
Because I remember because Baker got up trying to complain about he hit like
Pointing
being
to his
hit in the
head.
Like, sir, like barely touched. Barely, like he literally two-hand touched you. You act like he like literally drove your face into the turf. Like,
Dude, and on Jake Bates' best audition for the Detroit Red Wings on his bar in field goal, Baker Mayfield on the sideline being like, it didn't go in. It didn't cross the. I was like, it very clearly did. And it was funny how the rules official Jeremy like got on the horn and he was like, that is something that can be challenged, by the way. Like, because if you can challenge whether or not the ball made it past the bar,
Right.
but you
Yes.
can't challenge whether or not it crosses
Overs.
the top. Yeah,
Right.
the overs. Yeah. So he was like, just want to point it out because they showed Baker like freaking out about it for a while on the broadcast. And
Yeah,
like, just
I
to let
did
you
see
know,
that.
they would get that right.
As someone who has tried to watch field goals from the sideline to determine whether they're in or not, Baker was out of his element. Like, it is very hard to tell.
Oh yeah, you have to trust the guy who's standing underneath the post.
Right. Yes. I have to change my virtual background, which I haven't had to do in a while. That's not a very commonly used channel point redemption. But this is going to be a good one. So I have to go full screen to do this. So forgive making you guys disappear for a second. I think that's what I have to do. Give me a second. Probably should have given you something to talk about so this wasn't just awkward.
I would
Talk
run through
amongst
alerts,
yourselves.
but that's not my job.
You could do it if you want.
I don't know how to do it. You have to show me how to do it.
Read?
Yeah, what's that?
You just
Left
want
to right, up and down.
Oh, it's back. Oh, it's mirrored. I forgot that it does that. Let me unmirror it. How do I... It's always tough when it's a more... Maybe just like that.
Just saying, it was a pretty sweet Sally.
This is a great sell.
Yeah. I don't know. The comic book nerd in me is like slightly annoyed that they like mixed DC and Marvel together, but I'll allow it.
To the side a little bit. We'll just go with that. Oh, and
That works.
Can I flip it? Transform. Flip. 180. Nope, wrong 180.
Whoa.
I want to flip 90. No, I don't want to flip 90. What am I thinking?
I don't know. You're just teasing me about my inability to read. What about yours to math?
It's a good. I want to flip horizontal, right? There we go. Wait, it was fine. Now it's not fine. Well, I think, hold on. Once we get to this, it's going to be fine.
Dude.
Okay, we're good.
Everything's fine. Notifications.
Notifications. Sorry. J-Pook, thank you for 34 months. Karen, thank you for the 38 months. Says, how about that D? Careful. Wizard, 55 months. Says, my favorite game of the year so far. Also just curious on your guys' thoughts on the Chair Company, if you've watched that yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
It's pretty good. I wasn't in the greatest mood when I watched the second episode, but I really liked the first episode. So I think I'm just going to rewatch the second episode this week sometime. But it's good.
It's good. It's good.
It's good. maybe I'll get, since it is a bye week, maybe I'll get into what's John Cena's show called? Peacemaker? Peacemaker?
Yeah.
Oh, I do gotta watch the latest season of that.
Yeah.
Ryan's a big advocate.
I'm a big advocate of John Cena. Like, he needs to hire me for any like Oscar campaign that he eventually goes on.
Yeah. Chair Company is Tim Robinson's new HBO show, which very much is a Tim Robinson show. Very much lives in that kind of comedy, absurdist, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Just never lets up, though.
Yeah.
Like, ever.
Yeah. He was also at the game yesterday with Sam, per usual.
Oh, that's right. He took a picture with Duncan Robinson, newest Detroit Piston.
Oh. There you go.
Yep.
Love that. Hardsticks 22 months says free BB, also Legion of Whom is a great nickname for the guys balling out on Monday night. Yeah. I was tipped off to that during my 97-1 binge this morning.
So something good came of it.
Something good came. I mean, that's why that's what I tweeted about initially. It was like, I'm having a hard time with all these colors, but at least I heard this and I love it. Even if it is mildly disrespectful.
Okay, so I do need you guys to kind of catch me up with like people being upset about the loss, seeing as I've been removed from Twitter for a little bit and I haven't listened to 97.1 in like 2 years.
Well, it's the same thing that was happening during the game, which was we should have creamed this team. With how well our defense was playing, with all the good field position that the offense had, this shouldn't have been close. The Lions should have shut them. That game should have been over at halftime. And Jared Goff didn't play well. Dan Campbell was too aggressive with the early fourth down shot.
J-Mo's a bust.
J-Mo's a bust. Offensive line is Garbo.
Why does anybody other than Jahmyr Gibbs touch the football out of the backfield?
Right. And listen,
Why does or why doesn't?
Why is it
Yeah.
only him?
Why is it only him?
Because he gained
Why?
200 plus yards on the game.
Yeah. Why
Right.
isn't it only him? Like,
Oh, okay.
why are you
That's what
giving
I
the
meant.
ball to David Montgomery? Yeah.
Yeah. Which is like, it goes back to what I was saying last week. It was just like, everyone's complaining about David Montgomery not getting the ball more. But once Jahmyr Gibbs has a big game and be like, oh, why is David Montgomery getting the ball at all?
I was gonna say, like, at this point in the season, like they both had a big game that they could both point to, be like, this is why I deserve the ball more.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
James, I'm a big fan of Will Birchfield. He does he puts in a lot of work. I think they know his value over there because I think he's responsible for the majority of their written work. I don't know. I guess I don't follow their website much, but he's got a good relationship with Dan Miller. He's on Fox 2 a bunch. He's very, very good at his job, and he covers multiple sports, which is again like something I can't even fathom. That requires like so much knowledge and tirelessness. I get tired just covering this one team. Being able to cover multiple teams in Detroit to me is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, not to talk too much about it because I'm sure we'll talk about it in the second segment. But like, I don't think I had a problem with the fourth down call. Like, I rarely have a problem with Dan's fourth down calls. It's more like it's literally graded on a pass fail for me.
Right. Right.
Like, I can't think of too many plays that they've called where I'm just like, well, that was absolutely stupid. Like, it's when they work, that's like, hey, great. If they don't work, it's probably like it's usually pretty easy to see like where something went wrong.
Yeah. Don't donate there. That link's probably dead. I should probably disable that until we're ready to do the Movember stuff. And I do want to talk a little bit about Movember at the end of the podcast on air, just so that we can get people primed. Let me get through the rest of these alerts, though. What?
Oh, go. No, you can go ahead. I can wait.
Dark Wizard, thank you for the 36 months as best linebackers in the league. I'd have to know more about other teams' linebackers, but they're pretty darn good.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Drew Falcon, 33 months, says Sione Vaki anniversary. Hope to have him healed up soon and back on the field. Yeah, it feels like it's got to be relatively soon. Because I mean, how feel like it's been, 5 weeks or something now? 4 or 5 weeks? And if they thought it was going to be longer term than that, you'd think probably they put him on IR. I know a lot of people think that they're trying to save their IR spots, which might be true, but also when you get injured late in the season, you're not going to return because there's not a lot of time left.
Right. And yeah, I mean, they just won't put you on IR.
Right. Or they'll put you on our IR. They'll either not put you on IR, they'll put you on IR with no plan to bring you back because remember, it's not even just like getting healthy, it's getting healthy, then getting your football legs under you, then making the field. So like, if you get hurt with a 4 or 5 week injury in December, you're probably not coming back.
Right. And pup separate from IR, right? Like, did Aleem's doesn't count.
Does not count as one of the IR to returns, correct. They've only used one so far, right? And I'm trying to remember who it was.
Dan? Skipper? Or no?
No, because he was on the practice squad.
Oh, that's right.
Maybe they haven't used it. Have they not used an IR to return? I feel like they did.
I mean, we're assuming that they're going to at least use one for DJ Reed.
Yeah.
And Marcus Davenport at some point.
Right.
Did you guys also forget about Josh Pascal? Because like that name just like randomly flashed in my mind. I'm like, oh yeah, like that's somebody that's.
I mean, at this point, it kind of feels like if he does, he does.
Yeah, I was
right. Like it feels like that would be nice.
Yeah. I guess I guess they haven't used any yet.
Yeah, maybe not.
Like Manu could. You almost forget that he's on IR too.
Yeah.
Anyways. Asia, thank you for the 10 months on Twitch. Sin the Half, thank you for 3 months on Twitch. Says excited to have a fully healthy team. Best team in the NFC, FTP. Yeah.
Jacoby Brissett. Just watching the Cardinals give that game away to the Packers, like every opportunity they could take.
I knew that I shouldn't say I knew the game was over, but like it felt like there was a turning point. It was just one play where Jacoby Brissett had a pretty open receiver on like a 2nd and 10 or something, and he threw it at his feet. And I'm like, if you complete
Just missed
that
him
pass,
so
it's
bad.
over.
Yeah.
Like the game is over. Like you're already got a. I don't remember what their lead 4 at that point, maybe.
Yeah, three or four, but like they would have. Yeah,
They would have bled a
Would
lot
have
of
been
clock.
in good position.
Yeah, and I'm just like, oh, you had to miss that, and then they don't convert on 3rd, and then the Packers get one more shot. And listen, to his credit, I did not think that Matt LaFleur had the balls to pass up the field goal and go for it on 4th and 2.
Yeah, that was pretty risky.
I just hate that we're now in this awkward situation where like we might have to root for Aaron Rodgers on Sunday.
I don't know.
I also
We're rooting for another tie. We're rooting for another tie. That's what we're doing.
I also really just wish we could go back to last Monday night where it was like, are we rooting for the Commanders or are we rooting for the Bears? We should have been rooting for the Commanders.
Are you scared of the Bears?
I mean, I was.
I'm not scared of the Bears. I'm scared of them stringing some wins together. I need a team
Their
to
schedule's
come
not
in.
tough.
Yeah, I need a team to come in and smack them.
Yeah. I'm very intrigued by how that team is going to finish the season because right now it's played out kind of how I expected, where it's just like they're not going to be great to start, but at some point I think some things are going to start clicking for that team, and they've already got a pretty good defensive roster.
But what about DeAndre Swift, who's like having a year?
He looked so good last game. I'm just like,
The past
What
couple
happened?
games.
yeah. And I was talking to someone else about this too. I was just like, I did not think there was a world in which the person that would have the most faith in DeAndre Swift was Ben Johnson.
What a turn of events, huh?
Yeah.
Last against New Orleans, 19 carries for 124 yards and a touchdown.
Where's he on like stat wise amongst running backs? Is he top 5?
He's got to be 419 yards on 4.7 a carry.
He's not quite there.
Oh, really?
By yardage, he's 17th. I'm sure yards per carry is up there though.
Yards per carry probably up there at 4.7.
ESPN doesn't weed out small sample sizes when I do averages. Pro Football Reference for the win yet again.
He's had a couple like stinker clunker games, but
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just kind of who DeAndre Swift is.
Swift is only, well, there's quarterbacks in here, so
Yeah, get him out.
13th by yards per carry.
Really?
Yeah. Gibbs is at 5.1, y'all.
Is that like just like a? I was gonna say, is it like just like a bunch of ties or?
No.
That seems.
No. Rico Dowdle, 5.6. Bijan, 5.4. Javonte Williams, 5.3. Jonathan Taylor,
Jonathan
5.3.
Taylor. Yeah.
A-Chain. Apparently, that's the one thing that Miami can still do right. 5.3. ETN, 5.3. Krosky Merritt, 5.2. Gibbs, 5.1. Cook, 5.0. Derrick Henry still being able to run the ball, 5.0. J.K. Dobbins, 5.0. And Amarian Hampton, 4.8. Am I looking at the right year? Is David Montgomery still averaging 4.6 a carry? Is that right? I assume he
This
was
is
like
up.
under
This
4.
is-
Wow, he still is. Or have they
Yeah.
not added that 172-yard run doing some heavy lifting
Oh
there?
yeah, buddy. Not a lot of carries against that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just figured the last couple weeks here. I mean, he rushed for 21 yards on 13 carries yesterday. Not
I
great.
will say, like, I think the Bears could still. That
I think
Bears
they-
Giants game might be like their first like
Yeah, let's look at their schedule.
They're at Baltimore this week.
Is Lamar coming back yet?
Hopefully soon. The Cincinnati Bengals have a little bit of juice to them now.
Yeah.
So they got to go. They got to go into Cincy. Okay. They got to play the Giants at Minnesota.
You know what? They do have a pretty tough stretch right here. Minnesota, Pittsburgh, Philly, Packers.
Yeah, but even before that, like it's three games out of 4 weeks on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, hey, maybe the Browns do have something in Dylan Gabriel. If not, Judkins is at least really good. So
true. Speaking of offensive rookie of the year candidates.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, you're gonna really find out who this team is in mid-November. Because Minnesota, Pittsburgh, Philly, Green Bay, Cleveland might not be great, but then you still got Green Bay, San Francisco, and Detroit to finish. Like, they need to stack the wins now because they could lose, I don't know, like 5 of their last 6.
Yeah, I don't know. All I know is I think I'm ready to believe in the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, I gave in yesterday.
I think I'm becoming a believer in the Indianapolis Colts this year.
I just need to be able to actually watch one of their games because
Their
I need to
offense is
see
insane. Their offense, I can't believe it's as good as it is.
Like, that's my thing. Like, I just need to see like how it's working. Like, it's not a matter of like if it's fake or not. It's just like I need like it was the same thing with the Giants. Like, up until like watching the Giants beat the Eagles, I was like, I don't know if I really believe this. And then I actually got to like watch it. And I'm like, oh, okay, no, I see how this is happening.
I mean, their only misstep of the season is that game against the Rams. That was like,
they also was it Houston where they were gifted the dumb win on the field goal thing where they missed the field goal.
Oh, Denver.
The leverage.
Denver.
Oh, that was Denver.
Yeah. I mean, like, Denver's a good football team. I definitely thought, like, through the first 3 weeks, I was like, okay, they beat Miami and they beat, like, the Titans, and they got lucky on that thing over the Broncos. Let's see who they really are.
Yeah.
And even the way they lost to the Rams, I was like, okay, like, they didn't get the doors blown off them, and then it was just, like, boat race the Raiders, which everybody's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, beating the Cardinals 31-27 isn't super impressive, but
I've already seen who was it? The Cowboys have reportedly tried to contact the Raiders for Max.
Dude,
it's just like
now Jerry wants to open the checkbook.
Stop.
It's just the stupidest timeline. Just the stupidest Dallas Cowboys timeline. I think someone came out and said that hasn't happened. So
that can't happen.
It will make me even more mad at the Cowboys for trading Micah Parsons because let's be honest, the only reason the Packers won that game was Micah Parsons.
Well, yeah, Micah Parsons and the fact that the Arizona Cardinals were just like, no, we're gonna one-on-one block Micah Parsons. Like, who do you guys think you are?
There was a moment in their potential game-winning drive where they gain a big gain. It's in the middle of the field. The clock is running. That's when Micah Parsons comes back on the field, and that as soon as you see him come back on the field, you call a timeout. You stop the clock. You say, hey, this guy's back. Right tackle. You're getting your ass kicked. Go hit the oxygen tank for 15 seconds. And we'll throw a tight end on your side. And instead, they hurry to the line. They put Micah Parsons in one-on-one, and he immediately gets a sack. Or whatever. I think it was a sack.
Oh, brother. Yeah. Not great. Speaking of oxygen tanks, I love Jahmyr Gibbs waving off the guy.
Dude,
I was trying to give him oxygen.
I saw that for the first time this morning, and I'm like, that dude is an alien. Like he looked like he wasn't like he hadn't even walked back and forth for like he was just like, no, my heart rate's fine. I'm good. I just woke up. Like that was the energy he was giving off, not I just ran a full football length field. Yeah, he looked like he just walked back from the kitchen. Exactly. All right, let me finish these alerts here. Philip J. Schnapp, thank you for subscribing on YouTube. Ice Cecil, thank you for the 48 months. That's 4 years. Kylo Den, 100 bits. Appreciate that. Dan Pask, 52 months, says, lost my viewing streak, but 52 months for a pack of cards to play euchre with. Go freaking Lions. The pack of euchre is not 52, though, right? It's way less than that. 26 or something.
What's your favorite Bob Seger song? Let's keep on doing Michigan things.
Turn the Page by Metallica.
Okay, all right. Finish reading.
Jason F65, thank you for the 27 months, says, go Loins. Go Loins. And Gene Pod, thank you for the follow on Twitch. And we're caught up. We did it.
We did it.
You want to just jump right back into it then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got nothing.
All right. Let's do it. Pew.
And welcome back to the Pride of Detroit PODcast segment 2, where we are going to be talking about this offense. This offense that did have its moments of being electric, explosive, and all of the things, but it's also an offense that people do seem to be getting a little frustrated with. I don't know if it's just the last 2 weeks. I don't know if it's just the culmination of the the season where we just feel like we haven't seen this offense really hit its stride like we thought it would, Jeremy, but people are a little perturbed about this offense. But I think before we even talk about that, we got to talk about the explosive games that Jahmyr Gibbs had. I think if you go based off of everything that like Dan Campbell said, that Jared Goff said, like everyone felt like this was coming for Jahmyr. Like at some point in time, he was just going to pop off. And I think he picked the best possible time to do it.
Yeah, no question about it. It had seen, even looking at some of the film over the past few weeks, that they were one block or one Jahmyr Gibbs shake away from breaking a big one, and they finally do that. But even more substantive to me was his value in the passing game. I think it was only 3 catches in the game, but he turns it into 80-something yards, 82 yards. That's something I've been waiting for. That's something that, again, was like promised for the millionth off season in a row. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be more valuable in the passing game. We're going to get him out in space. And I think we were all bemoaning some of the fact in the past couple weeks they were trying these weird bubble screens that weren't working. Screen passes in general weren't working, but they were much better in this game, whether they were just, maybe it was a better matchup. The Bucs did come in this game with kind of a notoriety of being poor when it comes to covering everything that wasn't a wide receiver. They have a really strong secondary, but running backs and tight ends were a big weakness of theirs going into this game. And so I think the Lions recognized that. They designed some nice plays that got Jahmyr Gibbs in open space, and he made them pay. I mean, poor Antoine Winfield has just got to see Jahmyr Gibbs in his nightmares at this point for what he did in the playoff game, and then outrunning him for 78 yards in this game too. Just a great reminder of how electric of a weapon he can be at any moment and at any point in the game. The down-to-down efficiency wasn't there. The success rate in the run game wasn't there. But the reason you have a Jahmyr Gibbs on your team is that he can run for 1 yard 8 times in a row, but it's going to be worth it when he breaks out a 60, 70, 40-yard gain here and there, and that's exactly what he did on Monday.
Yeah, 218 total yards on the day, 2 touchdowns. Ryan, I think on a weekend where we saw, Christian McCaffrey have a big game, we saw Bijan Robinson also have a big game. Like it's kind of refreshing to see Jahmyr also get into the mix there, because I think going into the season, I know for myself personally, I was very much with my whole chest like Jahmyr Gibbs easily the second best running back in the league, and I think last night we really got a glimpse of why that's the case.
Yeah, I mean the explosiveness and the versatility. I know Jeremy talked about it, but in the passing game, The thing I loved about the third quarter, the Lions offense goes stagnant, um, a bit in the second quarter there. They have like a three and out. They have a couple of three and outs for a fact. They have the missed field goal. They have the interception. And that first drive of the third quarter, I mean, it really gets sparked with like the short passing game. And I don't think that this was like John Morton's best effort as a whole, as a collective. I think there's something to be said about execution too. Like there wasn't a ton of great execution on top of it. But, you know, I know we should probably talk about the fourth down call that happened in the first half, but I do want to highlight the good. And the good was that first drive coming out of the second half, they tapped into the short passing game. They hit Brock Wright on the little short kind of flat route. They get Jahmyr Gibbs on that flare that Goff throws to him. it I love the way that they supplemented that instead of like sticking to the ground game. And I know they were
Yeah.
trying to make the ground game happen. And it worked when like, one great block from, Tate Ratledge where he's able to, move and crash down the line. Like that's great. I get sticking to your identity, but I want to see like how you can kind of maneuver throughout the ebb and
Yeah.
flow of a game. And if it's not working, quit, bashing your head against the linemen that are in front of you. Like Vita Vea against Tate Ratledge is a mismatch waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Just consistently. So like, how are you going to diversify, Jeremy? That drive like restored a lot of my confidence, even like through the rest of the game. Like
You
I
know,
was like, I loved it.
yeah. I'm glad you pointed it out because you kind of reminded me of where my mind was at that point in the game because we mentioned at the top of the show, like the game never really felt out of reach. But I think maybe at that point there was a little bit of wavering of faith because the Bucs come out very first drive of their first half, go right down the field and score, and so you're like, well, okay, the magic is over defensively. Like that was an incredible half, but now Baker's going to wake up. Offense wakes from their slumber, immediately answers back, and then the rest of the game kind of plays out the way it had in the first half. So, I mean, extremely important drive to, again, like that complementary football type thing that this team always talks about is when the defense did have their guard down once in this game, what did the offense do? Immediately picked it up, scored a touchdown, and restored a two-score lead that the Lions would never give up the rest of the way.
Yeah, and there was like to your point, Ryan, there is a number of negative things to kind of point out with this offensive performance. I mean, you have defense that creates two turnovers for you where you're in, plus territory, and the Lions don't do a ton with that. One thing I will point to before I actually come back to that, I do want to give Panay Sewell like his flowers because I don't know. Seeing that man in space is still just like a work of art. Like I know enough people have talked about it, but it's something that like always gets me excited. I'm a little bummed that he missed the block, but at the same time, like it's still just fun to see like him like beaming down the field and Jahmyr catching up to him. It's like
Yeah.
that's an athletic big man right there.
I know Next Gen Stats is obsessed with Jahmyr Gibbs and his speed, but they have to check in on Panay's microchip. I need to know how fast he was running side by side with Jahmyr on that play.
That's the tape that you should be showing every offensive lineman that like is somewhat like this is what true athletic, this is what a real big man looks like. Gets out in space, makes plays that way. But getting back to like I was saying, some of the negative, like again, not being able to capitalize on a lot of these turnovers. I'm curious, Ryan, like do you attribute most of that to, again, like you mentioned play calling being a little questionable, or do you like think there was a little bit more of an issue with execution when it came down to the offensive side of the football?
I think it was execution. I think we see it's kind of strange how Jared Goff can struggle so much against this Todd Bowles defense, but we've seen him handle Brian Flores so masterfully, right? And I think it really boils down to their ability to disguise coverages a bit. You saw Jared take that really bad sack, where that defensive back wasn't diagnosed as a blitzer at the line of scrimmage. He becomes a free runner, hits Goff, and then on the very next play is the interception that he throws for the end of the first half. There's moments like that, and I guess kind of bring it back to my point about Morton at the start of the second half. Like I liked seeing Jared Goff move a little bit. Jared Goff moved a
Hmm.
little bit in spots in this game, and I think that with this Buccaneers front and their the blitz packages that they put together, I think when you give them a chance to tee off on Jared Goff and they can crash down their ends and they know that, hey, guess what? The only thing that Jared Goff is going to potentially do is turn his back completely to us and then see if he can get away. That's his only counter to that. That makes it tough for Jared Goff. Like
Yeah.
you are counting on the offensive line to be perfect. You are counting on Taylor Decker to win all of his one-on-ones. You're counting on Penei Sewell to win all of his one-on-ones. You're counting on the middle of that interior offensive line to handle Vita Vea on top of Diaby, on top of the linebackers that they send on blitzes, on top of the defensive back. So then it becomes like this whole orchestra and Goff just missed stuff, right? Like
Yeah.
he missed that blitzer, Jeremy. He missed Amon-Ra St. Brown, who was wide open because of a lapse in coverage communication between the Tampa Bay defensive backs on the fourth down throw to
Yep.
Isaac Tisslaw. Like Jared Goff, just a little uncharacteristic, and I don't know. Like I want to talk about it, but I also want to be like, they won the game.
Right.
It's fine. Like it'll be okay. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are really good
Yeah.
on defense.
I just think teams that are good run defending defenses are going to give this team a problem. Like that,
Yeah,
it's
right.
the one thing where the last couple of years it felt like the Lions' run offense was so good that even against the good run defenses, they stood a chance. They were going to fight tooth and nail. And again, like you look at the ultimate stats in this game, you're like, well, what do you mean they ran for 164 yards and 5 a carry and 2 touchdowns? They must have done great.
Yeah,
No,
not
they
that
didn't.
efficient.
If you look at things like success rate, this was one of the worst games, if not the worst game of the season in terms of success rate running the football. And when that happens, you get in long down in distances. And when you get in long down in distances, like you said, Ryan, they tee off. They're unpredictable when it comes to their blitz packages. And I even asked Jared, like, hey, this Bucs defense seems to give you guys trouble every year. And he just says, they're a hard team to plan for. Doesn't matter how good your offense is, they're a hard team to plan for. And again, I don't want to let everyone off the hook here. I think there are some legitimate problems with this offense right now. I don't think the run blocking is where it needs to be. I don't think the pass protection is where it needs to be. I thought like I said at the top, I thought the running backs did a very poor job of protecting Jared Goff, whether it was missing their blocks or missing their assignments. It wasn't where it needs to be. But I have enough faith in the players on the field, the coaching staff in the room, that all that stuff is going to get fixed, because it has. We've seen the flashes this year of being a really, really high potent, good offense. And I don't see any like particularly like I think John Morton is starting to come under fire a little bit, and I don't necessarily see that. I don't think there's been a fatal flaw in the play calling or the play design. I just think the execution isn't where it needs to be right now. And the good news is there's 3 months of regular season left. Dan Campbell talked about it today. The race left in the season isn't so much a playoff race. It's more a race to improve, because you don't win championships with September football. You don't win them with October football. You win them with December and January football, and that's when you need to be playing your best. So if the Lions are 5-2 and not playing their best offensive football yet, that to me is a great sign. That is an excellent sign, because I have enough faith that there's just too much talent both in the coaching staff and in the players themselves for the offense to continue these struggles. And for the audio people, I'm putting air quotes there because, again, third highest scoring offense through 7 weeks. They're okay.
Yeah, and I think I said in the first segment, it is, I think, a byproduct of this team just being so successful on that side of the football for so many of the last few years that people are just used to this being a little bit more automatic. But I think if you do actually watch these games and really sit back and just watch how things are playing out, I think the execution is the thing that stands out the most. And I at least feel like that's something to at least hang your hat on, where it's like, okay, that can get cleaned up. Like technical things, whether it's blocking assignments, whether it's being able to anchor better, whether it's, allowing yourself as the quarterback to go through some of your progressions and actually find the open man and not feel like you have to speed up everything. Those are things that will get fixed through as the season kind of goes along. I do think there is something else that needs to be like addressed when it comes to this offense, and it is a little bit of the usage. And it kind of showed itself early in this game yesterday, where it was a lot of Amon-Ra St. Brown, which is not a bad thing, but and you're starting to hear a couple people murmur about it, but it's like, when are we going to start to get some of these other pieces more involved on a consistent basis? When are we going to start to see Jamison Williams being more of a focal point of this offense? When are we going to see Sam Laporta not just have like a timely third down catch here or there, but actually be like a factor and an actual weapon for this offense? I think that's something else, Jeremy, that like fans are probably getting a little frustrated with. And I still don't think that's a John Morton issue. I think it is just like a byproduct of like how the offense isn't really clicking like we think it should.
Yeah, I think that's at least a little bit fair. I'm not ready to jump to conclusions of the Lions made a mistake extending JMO or anything like that. But in a game where it seemed like the Bucs really tried to take Amon-Ra St. Brown out of the game in the second half, it did feel like there was a wide receiver that just needed to step up in that moment. And JMO didn't really too much in that game. I think he only got 2 targets. One was the OPI that was a bad call, and I think the other one was a bad throw from Goff. But I don't know if the separation was there. I haven't watched the all 22 yet. It's a slaw, right? He's a guy that, okay, we're a couple months into your rookie season, bud. Like, this is when you need to start turning it on. And granted, Khalif played a lot more than him in this game, and Khalif caught 3 passes for 15 yards or something like that. It just felt like there was a need for someone to show up in the second half and make a play in that wide receiving core, and the fact that it wasn't really anybody other than Amon-Ra or Jahmyr Gibbs making plays is a bummer. I don't know if it's a fatal flaw of the offense, or maybe these guys aren't as good as we think they are. I don't think it's necessarily any of that. It's just, again, you're facing a really good Bucs secondary. We can't overlook that fact. There are 2 teams that you have to factor in when you talk about how a unit played. But I think it's okay to want more. I think it's okay to expect more, without jumping to the full conclusion of JMO sucks, Sam Laporta is overrated, John Morton doesn't know how to run an offense. Like, we don't need to jump to that. We can just be like, hey, you need to be performing better, and that's okay. And we think you still can.
Yeah, I think another fatal flaw for this offense is that they only play with one football at a time. So it's kind of difficult to spread things around, especially when there's 30 carries between Gibbs and David Montgomery. It was very clear that the Lions wanted to run the football this game. They were going to be unrelenting in it. And I don't know how much of that may have been Jared Goff coming into this week too, where it was like, hey, I know the last time we played these guys, I threw the ball 55 times and that didn't work. So we're going to have to try to establish the ground game in some respect. I did think what was interesting though, and like going back on a second watch, the running game took a step forward when they started to go to the toss plays and getting the ball out of Jared's hands quicker and into Gibbs or Montgomery's hands. I think it was primarily Gibbs who's the benefactor of these plays, but like getting the ball in his hands, letting things develop in front of him, and him kind of have a head of steam to hit a hole. The Buccaneers really good at just defending the run. Like, and I don't think the Lions were willing to relent from that. And then you end up with a game where, yeah, Amon-Ra and Jahmyr Gibbs carried the team offensively. Oh, boo-hoo. What an awful thing to happen for the Lions, right? Like just because one person shines doesn't mean that another guy has to be put on the block and say, yeah, he's a bust, or, oh man, what are we talking about a Sam Laporta extension for? Come on. Like, all these guys very important. All these guys will have their games. Like, it's unfortunate that Jamison Williams, and I just got to say this, but like, it's unfortunate that last week the Lions lost the game because Jamison Williams had a really good day catching the football.
It's true.
Amon-Ra didn't have such a great day. Is the thing I'm going to take away from that? Well, JMO's involved in the offense. They end up losing games. And I'm not going to jump to that conclusion. There's not enough data to prove that. But I think the fatal flaw, Meko, is that there's one football that can be played with. And when you have a team that's committed to the run the way that the Lions are, and we want to talk about Jahmyr Gibbs getting more involved in the passing game, it's going to come at the expense of Sam Laporta's targets and Jamison Williams' targets.
Can I play devil advocate in this sense though, right? Because it's not like I don't think people are complaining about like the lack of JMO's involvement or the lack of Sam Laporta's involvement just because like they're not getting to see those players play. Like I think it is like, hey, we were told that JMO would be a bigger part of this offense, and we're
Right.
not seeing it on a consistent basis. And it's still seeming to be some of the same usage of him. And again, not saying that's a bad thing because I think that has allowed Amon-Ra to have a fantastic start to his season where
Uh-huh.
so like we talked about it a couple weeks ago where I feel like teams are put into a bind where they're like you have to take away something and teams are choosing not to allow Jamison Williams to basically average 30 yards per reception.
Yeah,
But at
teams
some
don't
point in
want to
time,
let that happen for sure.
Well, it doesn't
It's
happen.
not a method to success. Shut up, Jeremy.
right. But at the same time, though, it's like if that's all that you guys were talking about, that JMO was like that you could actually tap into with Jameson Williams, like that feels a little misleading. And I, as someone that, well, I'll say we as people that I think have a good amount of faith in Jameson Williams, like it's not just the deep throws
Right.
that he can make plays on. Like I know personally, like I would still like to see him get involved on some slants or some drag routes or some things that like allow him to operate in space in the same way that we're talking about Jahmyr Gibbs, like the same way you were talking about getting the ball to Jahmyr Gibbs quickly and then allowing him and allowing his natural talent and speed to just create. I think the same opportunities are there for Jamison Williams if those types of plays are called for him.
I mean, it happened last week against the Chiefs, so that screen that got blown up because it was bad blocking by Tesla.
Right.
Like, I mean, like I think that's kind of been the story of the offense to some extent. Like when it's not going well, it's one missed block here, right?
Hmm.
It's one thing that doesn't go right, and it kind of harkens back, Jeremy, to the comments that Ben Johnson made a couple years ago, where they looked at the offense and they're like, it was when they made that change from DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams to Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, where it was like we saw too many plays where there was just meat left on the bone.
Yeah.
There was a run play that went for 4 or 5 that was great, but probably should have went for 12, 13, or maybe even longer, and they should have
Right.
been explosive plays. So the Jameson stuff, that doesn't come back to J-Mo, though, for me. That comes back to either John Morton or Jared Goff. Like,
Yeah.
he got the ball thrown to him twice on Monday night. You know what I mean? Like
Sure.
if he needs to get the ball more, one person needs to call the play and one person needs to throw it to him.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. I think, and I mentioned this through training camp, for as good as Jamison Williams looked in training camp and his routes looked crisper and the the route tree was expanding. The one thing I pointed out is like we're still only kind of getting 1 or 2 big plays from him per practice. It still doesn't seem like Jared Goff is looking his way as much as everyone else. And granted, that's because he's got a great thing going with Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's because he's got a good thing going with Sam Laporta, and he's starting to develop more with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. There is still, I think, I don't know if it's a lack of trust or what necessarily, but it's not quite like he still hasn't developed that level of trust or chemistry or whatever you want to call it with JMO in a way that he has with some of those other receivers. Now, they're going to get there. The Lions would not have paid JMO if they didn't think they were going to be able to get there.
Yeah.
But I do think there's a little bit of a disconnect there. And is it concerning? I mean, yeah, a little bit, right? I mean, JMO has not put up a lot of stats, and I understand all of the like outside of the stats things that he brings the team by affecting the way the defense is playing you, by blocking downfield. But at some point, you got to put the stats on the board. You're not paying a guy $90 million to block his ass off. Like you're paying him to make some big plays. And I have full confidence they're going to come. But I get the frustration. I get the impatience. Even though I'm going to repeat it again, third highest scoring offense right now. So everything's okay.
Yeah, it I was gonna say it definitely feels like a very nitpicky thing to have, right? When you're talking about, again, having an Amon-Ra St. Brown that has clearly elevated himself to the top 5 wide receiver, like firmly planted in the top 5 wide receiver conversation. Jahmyr Gibbs having the type of game that he's having, it does seem like people are being a little restless, and maybe it is just like looking at other teams across the league and seeing other wide receiver twos maybe having really good seasons, and people are looking back like, wait, why isn't this happening for us? Well, guys, anything else that kind of like stood out from you to you guys from this game? Like we talked about Jahmyr Gibbs' big game. We talked about the offensive line. Talked about Jared Goff. Anything else that really kind of stood out?
I don't know. Not nothing too much. Again, I think some of the offensive line stuff is stuff that'll eventually work its way out. I think it was nice to have Taylor Decker back there. Wasn't a perfect game from him, but it just, you didn't see the Lions having to slide two tight ends to the left side of the offensive line like they had to for the past 3 weeks or whatever it's been. And I think that alone, again, against maybe a less difficult defense, that's going to free up to do more. You don't have to devote as many resources to cover Jared Goff's blind side. And so I'm excited to see where that goes, assuming that the Decker remains in the starting lineup.
I will ask this question. I guess, Ryan, I'll throw it to you first. How are you guys feeling about where the Lions currently sit in the NFC race, right? Like obviously 5-2, but like in terms of their chances of still being able, like going into the bye, is this about where you expected them to be? Are they better than they thought than you thought they would be? Like overall feelings as of right now.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with the Lions sitting at 5-2. I could have very easily seen them with the schedule that they had preseason. Obviously, things happen, but I would have been happy with them at 4-3. If they would have went into the bye week with a winning record, all those games preseason, it was Baltimore, it was going to Cincinnati and facing Joe Burrow, it was going to Arrowhead and having to face Patrick Mahomes. Like you're talking about potentially three of the better teams in the AFC right there. On top of the fact you have a divisional game against the Bears and Ben Johnson, and the Browns defense is really good. So at 5-2, going into the bye week with all of the optimism that we have surrounding the team in the sense of the players that they're going to get back healthy along the way. At 5-2, Jeremy, the Lions are, I still think that they're the best team in the NFC. I do. I don't think that there's another team in the NFC that I can say definitively has less warts than the Detroit Lions do through 7 weeks of football. Like the Green Bay Packers, the Green Bay Packers cannot help but playing down to their opponent. I don't know what that is, but it's a strange thing that maybe it'll work itself out. But like, do we think the 49ers thing is sustainable long term? I don't know. Like the Eagles?
There are two teams that I think in the NFC that I think are close to, if not on the Lions level. You haven't mentioned either of them yet.
I can guess.
Yeah.
Seattle Seahawks and the Los Angeles Rams.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah. The NFC currently has 6 5-2 teams. So while I'm really happy with how the Lions have played through 7 games, this is going to be a tight race. And I do think there's going to be some water leveling out here, and I do think that I'm not, like, when I say this is going to be a tight race, my concern level for the Lions missing the playoffs still relatively low. I think they're going to be just fine. But there are some dogs in this conference. Because, yeah, I do think the Seahawks and Rams are both legit. I don't know if the 49ers are going to be able to keep it up forever, but I do think, like, the Eagles can figure some things out. They kind of are already starting to figure some things out. And then there are even some teams that aren't among the 5-2 teams where you're like, maybe the Bears are a team that can fight for a wild card spot. Maybe Washington will turn it around at 3-4. Maybe the Vikings, will see if they ever get JJ McCarthy back on the field. They still got a really tough defense.
Maybe the Cowboys, if they can finally add a defensive pass rusher.
Right, if they can go trade for Max Crosby. I think there are a good 10 to 12 teams that are still very much, they've shown enough where it's like, this team could realistically make the playoffs. And that's how it should be when you're only 7 weeks into the season. But it's fascinating to me how quickly the power of the conferences switched from AFC to NFC, because it felt like the AFC was always the gauntlet, right? You have all these high-profile quarterbacks. Granted, a bunch of them have already gotten hurt this year, but now it's like, really, the Steelers? That's one of your top teams in the AFC? The Patriots? The Patriots are 5-2. Meanwhile,
the Patriots are a thing now. I don't know.
I refuse.
I was gonna say the Patriots are playing good football.
But like you look at some of the point differentials though in the NFC, like the Eagles are 5-2 with a +5 point differential. The 49ers are 5-2 with a +7 point differential.
Right.
Tampa Bay has a negative point differential after their loss to the Lions.
Right.
The Bears are negative 3 point differential, right? Like these are some teams that are winning some close football games. There's some regression waiting to happen.
Yeah. And they're going to beat up on each other too, right? Like that's bound to happen. It feels like there's been a lot of intra-conference play. Like the Lions. 4 of their 5 wins are against the AFC right now.
I noticed that in week 1 there were a ton.
3 of their 5.
Yeah, but so there were a ton of intra-division games. And then also think about Thursday Night Football. Thursday Night Football every week is like a divisional game.
Right.
Yeah. And I don't know if that's by design, but like there's been a lot, but like these teams are going to have to beat up on each other here pretty soon. You know, the 49ers, they're going to have to play the Seahawks again. They still have to play the Rams again. Like that NFC West, I think, is going to be the most interesting subplot.
Yeah,
but to
three
answer
5-2 teams right now.
Yeah, to answer your question, Meko, I think I don't know. I have a hard time not seeing the Lions as being in a great spot at 5-2. Context considered.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that like anyone that is upset or frustrated about like how the team has played, whether it's the offensive side or whatever the case may be, I think like that's the context that you have to look at everything in, is that to Jeremy's point, like it is a tight race, but are you more concerned about what the Lions are dealing with in comparison to these other teams? Like the Cowboys defense is not good. Like we're talking about a Cowboys team that gets a win and they're just like, hey, our defense wasn't absolutely terrible. And it's like there are certain things to kind of hang your hat on as a Lions fan. With that said, Jeremy, like is there one thing that like you're hoping coming out of the bye that the Lions kind of fix? I know there's one thing in particular like I would really like them to get under control, like ASAP.
I mean, for me, it's still the offensive line, because we've heard it for years, right? That's the engine under the hood. That's the thing that makes this entire team go. And I just feel like they haven't reached their full potential yet. And we shouldn't have expected them to reach their full potential yet. They're still moving parts. There's still guys that are getting used to their new roles here. And I just think once they figure that out, this team is going to be damn near unstoppable. Because if this team can consistently run the ball, you know, at a top 5 rate rather than maybe a top 10 or top 12 rate, which they're doing right now, it just opens up everything. It opens up the ability to keep the opposing offense off the field. It opens up more play action. It opens up better pass protection when teams have to worry about your run game. It brings more guys into the box so that you can finally get JMO involved. Bring a safety down into the box and let him run past you. And so once that offensive line hits its stride, like I think it eventually will, I think this team gets to a whole nother level that we haven't seen yet. And that should scare a lot of people, considering this is already a team that is considered like the first or second best team in the NFL right now.
And hopefully if they're able to do that, like clean up things with the offensive line, it also helps them clean up their issues that they're having with third down. Like that to me is the thing where I'm like, it's great that they're 5-2 and there are a lot of things that they are doing really well. Third down to me, like we talked about the third quarter a few years ago. It's becoming turd down. Like it's getting kind of bad here in Detroit. And that graphic that they put up specifically looking at 3rd and long, Ryan, where they were like, yeah, the Lions haven't converted, like they're like 0 for like 19 when it's like 3rd and 10 or longer. And it's like, yeah, can we either not be in any more of those situations or just find better ways of executing those downs and distances?
Yeah. Looking at the stats for third down, like as far as conversion rate, like yeah, you'll find some pretty good offenses at the top, like the Colts, for instance. The Chiefs are a pretty good team on third down, but you see the Lions down with some teams that like, oh, I mean they have the same percentage as the Rams at 37.7%. The Rams are a team that's talked about having a great offense. The Eagles are at 34.1%. The Seahawks are at 33.3%. There's some teams that I think a lot of people kind of respect their offenses or think that they're going to like come out of something. And it's like, well, even the bad things, to your point, Miko, that are afflicting the Lions right now, like, okay, like I don't see it getting worse. I see it improving. And if it does improve, this offense, the ceiling is the roof, as Michael Jordan would say. Uh, the potential is there for this team to get even better, offensively and defensively. And I think that's a very scary thing for the rest of the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about it in the first segment, like this team is going to get healthier. They're going to get more pieces back, and that's going to just give them more ammunition on both sides of the football, and that's just going to make them more dangerous down the stretch, especially if they can continue to like keep guys healthy. So, yeah, guys, I don't know if there's anything else to kind of break down from the game. Jeremy, I know you had some Movember stuff that you wanted to talk to the people about.
Yeah, if this is your first time joining the Pride of Detroit podcast, we've got some exciting news for you. Every November, we do a big charity drive over on our live platforms on YouTube and Twitch where we raise money for a charity, and this year is going to be no different, starting the very first, which I think is a Saturday, so we might kick off Movember with a Madden Sim stream for the Lions-Vikings game, where you just have an opportunity to donate money to a cause that we'll announce a little bit later. The benefits for you are, one, you can mess with us. Your donations can be used to crack eggs on our heads, write stuff on our faces, get me to eat some gross things. Last year I got a tattoo because we raised over $50,000. Maybe this year you'll shave my head or I'll dye it blue, or we're still working out the details there. We'll also be doing giveaways all month long. So we'll give away some trading cards, some other cool prizes, but that's only going to be for our live audience. So if you're a podcast listener only and you want to get in on some of the prizes, you're going to have to join our live streams on YouTube or Twitch. We'll be running some raffles on both those websites. And then kind of to ramp up the excitement for Movember, we're calling this particular week, the Lions bye week, the week of accountability, because we still have some things that we have to cash in from last year's Movember that we haven't done yet, including Ryan eating a cereal bowl's worth of Bean Boozled, which is some gross flavored jelly beans. I'm gonna have to play an entire game of Madden on stream where I'm only running flea flickers. I'm going to have to do an apology video to running backs for saying that they don't matter. Meko is going to eat a ton of food. What is it, 6,500 calories in a day?
6,500 calories in a day, yeah.
We'll do as much of that on stream as we possibly can, and I'm going to eat a JMO milkshake, which includes a McDouble, McFlurry, Rotel dip, and hot Cheetos all blended into one. So all that is happening this week live on our Twitch and YouTube pages as we get excited for this year's Movember charity drive. I encourage you guys to drop in if you have any ideas or ways that you want to contribute to Movember. Some things we've done in the past. We've had someone commission a work of art that we auctioned off for Movember. We have a P.O. box that you can send stuff to. Just get in touch with me however is convenient for you. You can slide into my Twitter DMs. You can email me at prideofdetroitjeremy@gmail.com if you have something you want to be raffled off, something you want to be auctioned off, or you just have questions about Movember in general. Feel free to email me, DM me, and let's make this another special year.
The number one thing I got from that is that Jeremy's DMs are officially open. So if you've been trying to shoot your shot, go ahead.
There you go. In between all the if I can find your DM in between the millions of sex bot DMs that I get every day.
Ooh.
You're popular.
There are a lot of people that are looking for a boyfriend, apparently.
Well, just don't click on any of those links. I would hate for you to get hacked, and then who knows what would possibly happen after that. But yeah, no, that's a great opportunity. Movember, like I've said it before, Movember is probably one of my favorite things that we do here at Pride of Detroit. It's a lot of fun. It's going to be cool to be a part of it this year as far as like hosting and things like that. So really excited to be able to do that. And like Jeremy said, you guys can either, participate or just watch over on the Twitch channel. That's twitch.tv/Pride of Detroit, or over on YouTube if that's where you prefer to watch content, youtube.com/Pride of Detroit. Or if you use the app, just type in the search bar Pride of Detroit, will come right up. So with all that said, guys, that's pretty much going to do it for this week's podcast. I'm Meko. He's Jeremy. He's Ryan. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch and listen, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Recording stopped.
Okay. We're out. Can we get new emotes? Maybe. But I don't have like someone who can design emotes, and I don't have great ideas for emotes. But we're probably due for a refresh. Meko did a great job designing it. It is a bye week, so maybe
you have plenty of time.
There are a couple like details I need to figure out in terms. You gave me the font that I need. I just gotta put in the 2 hours. It probably won't even take that long to get it implemented. But yeah, I do agree that there's some things with the site, the Twitch pages that need a little bit of an upgrade, and it's hard to do in the middle of the year. But this would be a good week to get some of those things done.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, so Laura, Eric's wife, did get her hand on my dating profile last year a little bit and changed some things. So that one has been completed. That is not that's not going to be part of I keep forgetting the word for it. Accountability week.
Oh, yeah. I really don't know what people have to raise for me to do a Jared Goff chant in a mire. Like it has to be
like $50.
$50?
We got to give the people what they want. This isn't about you, Ryan. This is about charity.
Yeah, so why are you trying to give away the good stuff for $50? You know how charity works?
Oh man.
Morgan's in here saying, Jeremy, let's do a reward where you have to smoke a blunt with me and then we play Madden or disc golf. No. Nope.
We do have to watch an old game.
Yes.
So,
my schedule's wide open, so that you tell me when you want to do that.
oh, so it's a me thing now. Got it.
I'm putting it on you.
Great. Well, first of all,
Laramie Tunsil mask. That's a funny one. But
we have to figure out how we're going to decide the random game.
True.
It has to be a random Lions game or just like a random football game.
A random Lions game we can find on YouTube, like the highlights.
10-second runoff game, tactile. Whose side are you on?
As a Lions fan, I have to ask which one.
I feel like if you guys are only watching highlights of it, I feel like, I don't know, are you guys trying to set like a year cap to it, or are you like literally like anything?
I think anything, but like it's going to be more fun if there's like, at least a 5-minute video of it and it's not the worst quality in the world.
Right. Like the video that we got the idea for this from was we watched an NFL highlights of, was it like 2018, 2019 maybe?
Well, it was that Saints game that was just like insane.
Yeah.
The Lions lost it, but they fell behind by like 4 scores, almost came back to win it, and then Stafford threw like a weird looking pick six.
Yeah. So, and those videos are generally like, I don't know, like 8-9 minutes maybe.
Right. And so we can probably do a few of them. I imagine we'll probably be stopping and pausing and things like that too.
Right.
I feel like it's something that you can outsource to AI and like get a nice list.
I mean, we could literally just jump on stream and ask people, hey, what's a game you want to see? All right, let's pull that one up.
We could put it up to a poll or something like that.
Yeah.
Have people vote on games.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll do that this week. I don't know. We don't have first bite to do, so do you want to do it like maybe when we normally do first bite?
Yeah.
On
like
Thursday
Wednesday night?
or Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday. We should do it Wednesday.
Oh God, that's tomorrow.
That is tomorrow.
I can still do it tomorrow. Dan Campbell's first
What are
win
we
is a good
doing
one. If you wanted to
What are we
torture
doing
us, the Lions Steelers tie game.
Either that or that COVID game, the when the Lions went to Denver to play the Broncos. Do you remember that? I think it was Dan Campbell's first season. There's like nobody who was healthy for that game. Jared Goff didn't play.
I kind of remember that
Oh
one.
yeah.
That was
I
a
don't
dumb
remember
game.
what happened, but I kind of remember.
They lost. They lost bad. Or the Seattle game. It was Tim Boyle in Seattle.
I was gonna say the Justin Tucker game, but like I don't know if they've taken
no.
down any like
Oh
proof
no!
of his
No one's gonna
existence.
enjoy that. Oh, the Eagles snow game is kind of good. I hate that game, but it's kind of a good one. Like I think we're far enough where it doesn't hurt me anymore.
Yeah. Like what if somebody like if any of you people get in chat and you're like, oh yeah, see I already saw it. Conference
What?
championship game against the Niners. Absolutely not.
No, we have veto power. Let's be clear.
Jeremy, I'm sick. I'm not doing the podcast ever again.
Oh man.
Oh, Stafford Cowboys game was a fun one.
Patriots 2022. See, you guys are sickos. Like,
You realize you guys are gonna have to watch it too. You're not just putting us through this.
yeah. Megatron process game? No.
Was it Matt Patricia's first game against the Jets?
Nope.
Yeah,
veto.
we'll watch the first snap and then we're done.
Ooh, Phenoms. I like that one a lot. The Todd Gurley accidental touchdown Falcons game. Because I don't remember a lot more about that game.
I don't either, other than the fact that that was a Matt Patricia game. Like a lot of the Matt Patricia era is blocked out in my memory.
Oh yeah, because I don't think like any of those wins, like all of those wins, just felt like lies. Like in hindsight.
No, I want maybe the Bucs game of the Dan Campbell era where they moved to 3-3 and it felt like they turned a corner. And I was like, oh my God, this is the team that he envisioned. We're finally here after a year and a half.
You mean Matt Patricia, right?
Yes. What did I say?
Okay. You said Dan Campbell.
Oh, no. Matt Patricia.
What was I'm having trouble remembering that game.
I'm trying to remember who the running back was. Because honestly, like they all kind of blend into me. Was it Carry-On? I don't feel like it was Carry-On. Maybe it was Carry-On. He had like an 80-yard run in that game. I think he had almost 200 yards rushing.
I think you guys should almost just like pick a bunch of games with like former Lions players that like that we just like kind of like miss. Where it was like, oh, remember when like a Carry-On game where it was like, oh man, like remember when we thought Carry-On was actually going to be like the guy?
Yeah. I mean that's
Patricia ruined his career by driving him into the ground basically.
well, using them all up in that Patriots game to beat Bill
Yeah.
Belichick. RGA's got a great one. The Anquan Bolden game-winning touchdown
That was a good
from
one.
the 2016 season.
What team was that against? I remember. I
feel
feel
like
like I remember.
was it against the Titans?
Maybe. Amir Abdullah games. We should do like an Amir Abdullah tribute because that dude is still balling. He's like
I saw
a
you,
big.
I saw you
he's like
tweeting about him the other day.
I just get excited every time I see him. I don't know why.
Yeah, didn't he have like a big kick return?
Yeah, with the
This past
Colts. He's with the Colts, right? Like, man.
Oh, Travis Fulgham. Jeez.
It's Fulgham.
Oh my God.
Kenny Galladay highlights.
Are we? Is this just gonna turn into a stream where we're just we're doing the thing where you're just naming former players?
Yeah, what dudes do best.
It
was a
Joe
game.
Fourier game.
The Anquan Bolden game was against Washington.
Chat like in unison, a couple of Joe Fouriers.
Well, it was funny because like Jahmyr Gibbs last night, that run immediately took me back to 2011 Javid Best against Chicago.
Oh yeah, I saw a couple
Yeah,
people
I think-
mention that game.
I just saw somebody mention that one probably should be on the list. That one would be a fun one to reload.
How many are we gonna do? 3?
Yeah,
Take
but
like an hour. Do 3.
yeah, except one of them has to be from 2016.
Because that
I-
season was bonkers.
I miss that season. Like that still to
Oh,
this
man.
day is one of my favorite Lions seasons
Yeah.
ever.
it felt like that was also kind of a turning point in POD.
Yeah.
Like the podcast had kind of settled in a little bit.
Toto was a thing.
Toto. Oh God, that was the Toto year too.
Toto year, the Matthew Stafford with the glove and the guitar gif.
Oh, after that season we did a best gifts tournament.
We did.
Shout out to Andrew Cotto, wherever you are, buddy. Not working right now. That's the only thing I know.
Yeah.
Because he works for the government. All right, let me get to a couple alerts and then we can kind of dismount here.
Yeah.
Hold on. Do I know who that is? I don't want to say someone's name if I don't know who they are. Okay. I should have known that. RGA, 35 months, says John Hussey for president, who I forgot to realize that was the official from last night. Mighty Too Hottie, 48 months, 4 years, says don't forget to talk about Movember. I did see that, and it did help. So thank you. But Meko was on top of it. He was going to throw it to me anyways. Iconic Games Eager to follow on Twitch. Damian Smith over on YouTube, a £5 super chat, says, if St. Brown had to sit for 1 week, who do you think would open up do you think that would open up a larger distribution more like Stafford and the Rams did with Puka out? I mean, yeah, I guess it kind of has to, right?
Yeah, because I mean, like, if you're of the belief that JMO isn't being targeted, maybe just because like of the route selection, like I think without Amon-Ra, like you have to give him a more diverse like selection of routes, to basically run him on, because he instantly becomes your number one like wide receiver option. You'd also probably get a lot more Khalif though. Like, let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Orna, thank you for the 13-month subscribe to the channel, says, if you squint, 13 months kind of looks like 13 wins, which is how many we'll have this year. It's on the table. It's about what they're trending for, right? 5-2. Yeah. I guess 12, 13, 14 wins, right in that range. I'll take it. I'd take 13-4 in an instant. If you handed it to me right now and said, hey, Lions going to finish 13-4, I'd be like, okay, let's do it.
Where would you want to drop the other two? Who would you like to drop the other two games to?
Ooh, this is a good question. It's kind of a
AFC teams.
Question. Yeah, I mean, that's probably the right answer. But would you want to, like you say that, there's only one AFC team left.
The Steelers?
Nope.
The Steelers.
Nope.
I'm going to that game.
You want the Lions to drop a game to Aaron Rodgers?
Give me a loss to the Rams
in LA. You could justify that. Be a tough one to lose for a tiebreaker.
Oh man,
I'd rather watch my football team lose to Aaron Rodgers than Kelly Stafford.
It's just because I can justify it. Like, I can justify saying like, oh, the Rams are like a really good team and they may be Super Bowl contenders. If you lose to old man Aaron Rodgers,
that's
I'm
okay.
gonna be pissed.
That's okay.
And I also don't want to deal with his smugness, because you right. know Aaron Rodgers has heard all the Kirby Joseph stuff, and I just don't even want to.
That's why the right answer here is the New York Giants. Not afraid of them. I don't care. I don't care about the week of I can't believe the Lions lost to the Giants. I don't care. Cam Scatabo run for 200 yards. I don't care.
Yeah, because you know what I'll say? Cam Scatabo is not a real person. Like, I was going to say something way more offensive.
I can't say Commanders. I can't say Commanders, RGA. We can't say the Commanders. I don't care how bad they are this year. The Lions have to win that game.
I can't say Commanders also because like I don't want Morgan's mentions to be like a nightmare that entire week after, because my boy been hot on the Commanders.
No one can save Morgan from his own mentions. Let's be honest.
I know. I would just like Morgan. I just would like to spare him from that.
If you're still watching Morgan, I feel like you've relapsed, and this is I'm just letting you know. I see it, and if you need help, I'm here for you, buddy.
Yeah. Mm.
Giants and the second one is hard. Maybe at Vikings. It's Christmas. I don't want to ruin everyone's Christmas, but I'm already going to be miserable that I have to cover that game on Christmas. So I'm just gonna Grinch it up and drag you all down with me.
Give me Giants and Bears.
Bears.
And this is why. Hold on.
I know what you're doing. You're loopholing this. The Lions already got everything wrapped up in Week 18. Lose to the Bears. Who cares?
I want them to lose to the Bears, and then like have that like Dan Campbell to like be able to light that fire, so that when they come out and whoever they play in the playoffs, we don't have to worry about like, oh, see, they were all complacent because they were like, they won the last 6 weeks of the season. No, have a loss. Get the fire back, dominate whoever the hell you're supposed to play in the playoffs.
Or even better, like the win gets the Bears into the playoffs, and then you smack them in the first round.
That's why I don't mind, like, with the Aaron Rodgers thing for me, like, go ahead, let the Pittsburgh Steelers win. If he wants to ask Mug after the game, it's like, it's okay. Like, come on, let's go back to bed, Grandpa. Like, let's... You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you beat the Lions. They're going to get beheaded in the first round. The Pittsburgh Steelers will get beheaded in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, but not at the hands of us.
But it's meaningless. It's meaningless. It's AFC. I don't care.
This is the only way I will side with you, Ryan. It can't be Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
like
I agree. If he's in,
like, if it's hold on, be careful. I don't care do you know who their backup is?
I don't.
It's not Teddy Bridgewater and it's not Malik Willis. So like I don't know. Is it Mason Rudolph?
It's worse. It's Mason Rudolph.
I don't know. I would rather lose to Mason Rudolph than Aaron Rodgers.
I would much rather lose to Mason Rudolph than Aaron Rodgers.
I cannot see that smug face walking off the field in Ford Field. I just can't.
Like Aaron Rodgers can start the game, throw 2 picks to Kirby Joseph, and then Mason Rudolph can like lead them to this comeback from behind victory, and I'd be like,
dude,
hey, wasn't Aaron Rodgers that beat us?
This is like the worst fan fiction I've ever heard in my life.
This is the most demented. Like, we've had some really weird negative discussions that we go down these weird rabbit holes, and this might top them all.
It might. Also, like, I think in the immediate aftermath where it was like, which loss hurts worse, the 49ers or the Commanders game?
That one was real bad. I don't know how we worked ourselves into that conversation.
Yeah, but that was also an easy answer. Like, it was clearly the 49ers.
I agree.
Yeah, 100%. Here's what happens in the Steelers game. Broderick Jones levels Aaron Rodgers on accident.
That to me is still the funniest thing to come out of that game.
Extending him out of the game.
Did you see him talk about? I saw a clip right before we went live of Broderick Jones talking about it. He's like, "Yeah, Aaron Rodgers better look out. Next time we score a touchdown, I might just tackle him again."
I feel like any quarterback to get that level of like attitude with their offensive lineman, like, bro, you realize like he's responsible for protecting you, and like he could just be like, you know what? Cramp.
Oh man,
it's true.
All right, I'm fine. The real reason I'm fine with losing to the Steelers is because Darnell Washington is on that team. So.
Oh God, get over it.
Oh no,
he's awesome, dude. He would have been so cool here.
He would have. Like, there's very few players in the NFL where I'm like, man, if the Lions had actually got him, like. This team would be even so much better. Darnell Washington is one of those guys where I'm like, he's such a Dan Campbell guy.
Yeah.
6'7", 264. Who cares about a swing tackle? We have Darnell Washington.
Do you want to know another guy that I think about that with, like, whenever I see him play?
Who's that?
Kim Scadaboo. Where I'm just like, he'd be such a Dan Campbell dude.
I don't know if I could take his personality. I really don't. That's why you guys are like, oh, lose to the Giants. No.
I don't think I could take it as a fan, but like just to see that type of psychopath like on the 2-yard line, and you're just like, you're seeing like him just trotting, you're like, oh, that's 6.
I do agree with you, Ryan, but something tells me it would feel different if he had the exact same attitude for your team.
That's entirely possible. Yeah. Yep. I
You're
get
like,
it.
I love this weird psychopath guy.
Rasheed Wallace.
It's honestly CJGJ on your team versus off your team. The second you lose your team, you lose the spell that he had under you. You're like, what? This guy's crazy. Why did we like him? And then dude, the minute the Lions don't have any more defensive backs, you're like, well, maybe.
Like, was it that bad? Like, you start rethinking the relationship. Like, it wasn't.
Right.
It wasn't completely terrible.
And then you remember that at the end of it, no, it was bad. It wasn't good. Like nobody was happy. Both sides were happy.
Yeah, like he was dogging us on Twitter. Like it was that kind of breakup where it was like, no, like I thought he really cared about us, and then it was like, oh no, like he secretly hated us in his heart. Like, okay.
Get over your feelings about Fatu Melifonwu taking your job. I'm sorry.
Joe a Tiger, I always get your name wrong. 10 months subscribed, says, how about the Lions let the Bears win after we clinch the 1 seed and the Bears take the last playoff spot, denying the Packers a playoff berth?
Anything.
Ben Johnson gets to beat Matt LaFleur one more time.
I'd give anything.
Are we there with our fandom where we would rather like the Bears get in the playoffs than the Packers?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything
but
that brings Matt LaFleur more misery. Yes. Is that
because the Packers are the bigger threat, or because we still hate the Packers more than we hate the Bears?
For me, it's just because I hate the Packers more.
Yes.
Got a couple of yeses in the chat. A lot of FTPs. All right, that's fair. I didn't know because like the Bears hate in the offseason had reached a fever pitch where it was like, I think some Lions fans think the Bears are our biggest rival now. But
you think so? I thought it was the Vikings for a minute. Like
it was almost the Vikings for a while too. I think it's not anymore though. Like the Vikings are kind of like, they're the least relevant of the teams in the NFC North right now. They're literally in the basement.
Not if you follow Adam Schefter.
What does that mean?
Yeah, I think the offseason hate for the Bears was more so like tied to the hype that they were getting, where it was just like, hey, can they prove something before we start crowning them?
They're what, 4-2 now? Is that right? They're 4-2 or 4-3? Mm-hmm. No, they're 4-2. They've won 4 straight.
Yeah. So I have a hot take, and then I'm gonna probably leave after this.
Okay, that's good because I haven't had dinner and I would like to also leave soon.
I would love to eat dinner. The Baltimore Ravens are gonna make the playoffs.
Ooh!
I can see it.
Damn. Is Lamar playing this week?
I don't know. But they play the Bears. So what a great way to get that
1-5, Ryan.
Yeah, it's okay. Look at their schedule, though. Like, Bears, at Dolphins, at Vikings, at Browns, Jets, Bengals, Steelers, Bengals. Like, those are their next 8 games.
9-7, Jeremy.
Nah, I can't. They've dug themselves in too big of a hole.
I think they're going to make the playoffs.
You already bet money on it.
That was gonna be my question. What? Let me see your FanDuel app right now.
I have futures on the Ravens.
When did you bet it, and what were the odds?
During the off season, during training camp.
So you haven't put one on them now, where they're probably like, I don't know.
I'll do. Are you daring me? Like, is this a challenge?
Maybe.
No, I think I don't know. It says Lamar remains sidelined with a right hamstring injury.
That's not good. How many 1-5 teams make the playoffs? Let's look at that.
Probably none.
Since the 1970 merger, only 4 teams have made the playoffs, starting 1-5.
Okay.
Positive news: it's happened 3 times since 2015.
You heard it here, folks. You heard it here first.
The Kansas City Chiefs ripped off 10 straight and went 11-5. The Colts went 10-6 in 2018, and Washington, whatever their names were at the time, in 2020 went 7-9 and won their division.
The Washington football team.
That's right.
That was the game we were talking about the other day. The Lions played the Commanders in 2020 and they won. That was one of the games they won.
2020.
But it was the Washington football team. It was like Alex Smith. It was a really weird game.
That was Patricia. Was Patricia still coaching at that point in the season, or had he been fired?
I think so, because it was like earlier in the year.
The Lions did almost do that, and also in 2023. That's right. They went 1-6 and damn near made the playoffs.
That's true.
Stupid Baker Mayfield.
That's true. The Lions won Week
Got
10
revenge now
against the Washington football team. The Lions were 4-5.
Okay, so he was still there.
Yeah, Ron Rivera. Washington was 2-7 after that loss.
They made the playoffs? Well, they made the playoffs by winning a terrible division.
They went 7-9.
Yeah. 2020. I don't remember this game at all.
Marvin Hall, 55-yard pass from Matthew Stafford.
So maybe this is the game we got to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, the Lions nearly.
Are you going to be
blew
okay watching Alex Smith lose a football game? I know you got a kinship with him.
I'll be okay. I'll be fine with that.
All right, let's get out of here.
All right.
As a reminder before we go, it is going to be accountability week, so a lot of streams this week, at least 3 or 4, where we're gonna cash in some Movember rewards in the lead up to next week. Next Saturday is November 1st, not this upcoming Saturday, the week after. This is November 1st where we're going to kick things off. So get your wallets ready, get your, I don't know, other stuff that you need to get ready.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a fun month. We'll see you guys then.